Yeah, well, now we don't have to worry about spoilers.
I mean, we could have discussed
So,
King of the Monsters.
Christian advice,
We can
do not
discuss
watch
that
this
later,
if you don't
too.
want any endgame spoilers.
Yeah, well, we are live now, so greetings, everyone. I'm Jay Protostar. I have no webcam this time, because I want to do more like a traditional podcast thingy. And tonight I'm joined by 2 out of the 4 from last time, the original crew. Go ahead and introduce yourselves, guys.
Hey there, everybody. My name is Edman here, and how you doing?
I'm Carrio, as always.
You're gonna turn people down, you're getting in the red, and I'm only in the yellow. So anyway, I'm queuing up the Avengers. You guys can't hear it, but I have the Avengers theme playing to start this off. So make sure to not stop talking, so this doesn't get copyright claimed when it goes on YouTube.
Okay, I won't stop talking until the whole entire podcast is over.
No. Well, that's the point of it, but you know what I mean. So yeah, Avengers Endgame is a thing. Finally, we definitely.
It was an event.
It was like a once in a lifetime event, dude. It was. Yeah.
I mean, not if you watched it multiple times.
Well, the first time, the opening night, it was the first time ever. It was awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to get into it, talk about it a little bit, or hopefully a lot actually.
Yeah.
Let's fill up some time here. But mostly Endgame. Maybe talk a little about how the MCU led into it. But it's so late because now it's like 2 months after the fact. So if anyone's gonna bitch about spoilers, it's really their own fault at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, unlike a certain someone who spoiled that Spider-Man dies for me before I saw Infinity War, Kiryu. It's fucking.
Yes,
Yeah.
he's your boy, Skinny
Wait,
Penis.
what?
Kiryu's a dickhead.
Who's dead?
No, Chava's dead because he spoiled for me that Spider-Man died in Infinity War.
Oh, come on, man. You have to spoil that.
Yeah, he's an
What
ass.
else am I supposed to do?
Yeah, and
Yes.
you are really lucky that I did not spoil that Iron Man dies in Endgame because I was so fucking tempted to.
I am thankful.
I was
very, very
thinking,
thankful.
how could I hurt him worse? And honestly, yeah, you're lucky I'm a good friend because
I'm surprised you and Rymel didn't do it.
I
Both
was-
of you were like,
yeah, because Rymel had seen it too. Unfortunately, she's not on right now. But
I told both of you that.
It hurts my heart to see him go, though.
yeah, it was bad. But we will get to that. We will get to that. But let's just kind of start from the beginning. So Chava, you didn't see this opening night. Adam, did you?
No, but I did went the day before, after the opening night.
Opening. You went after opening night.
Yeah.
Okay, someone's saying there's a cow above Thor, but I think that's just the back of Thor's helmet, Luke.
Wait, what?
Nothing.
What?
I'm reading chat as we go on.
Yeah,
yeah,
So
what are they talking? Thor's not even wearing a helmet.
no. I'm saying Thanos is in the background because Thanos is in the background. I just have the poster as the
Why
background for
is
this.
Right.
So anyway, anyone that wants to join in the discussion, feel free in the chat. If you saw it opening night, I guess I was the only one that saw it opening night amongst us. But it was insane. I mean, I kind of wish I had seen Infinity War opening night, but this was crazy. I got literally the last seat because I got my ticket almost a week after tickets went live, and yeah, I don't know what you're seeing, Luke. And so I was like in the corner, like all the way in the back of. I was like the third row back and almost all the way to the right.
Mm-hmm.
So I had like a really shit spot to actually watch it. But dude, it didn't matter because one, it was the giant screen. So,
Yeah,
it
that's
didn't
good.
really matter where you sat. You're going to see the movie no matter what. And two, It was all about opening night energy. I had never been to something like that except for Star Wars The Force Awakens. But that's another podcast discussion for how much I don't like the new Star Wars movies. So this was the first time I saw something opening night that was amazing. So, yeah. It was next time, man. I seriously don't see what you're seeing, but the picture's smaller on my screen anyway. So it was insane. Like every time anything happened, everyone freaks out. And when we had Cap getting Mjolnir, just getting all the spoilers out of the way right out the gate.
Yeah.
Like Cap grabbing Mjolnir, just the whole fight with Thanos, Tony's snap,
Natasha dying.
Natasha dying. Yeah, every time something big happened, you get the whole theater freaking out because none of us knew it was going to happen yet. And it
Hmm.
was just the
Yeah.
culmination of 10 years of film, and everyone was out of their minds. 'Cause incidentally, out of the MCU, how many movies have you guys not seen? Because I haven't seen the original Thor, I still haven't seen Iron Man 2, and I haven't watched Black Panther. But those are the only three I have not seen yet.
Um, Out of the MCU, I
I mean, I
haven't
did see all
seen.
of them, still the other Marvel movies except Black Panther. Sure,
I
first.
I haven't seen the Dark World.
You're not missing
Um,
much, honestly.
yeah, Dark World and Captain Marvel, pretty much.
That turned out to be.
That's it. Just Captain Marvel and Thor: The Dark World.
Honestly,
All the other movies I've pretty much seen.
and honestly, of those two, you're not really missing a whole lot.
Yeah, I know. I pretty much watched all the ones that mattered.
Yeah, more or less. And honestly, for the ones I haven't seen, I mean, Iron Man 2 really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things because it's a pretty self-contained plot. It just introduces, Black Widow and
Hmm.
Yeah.
kind of more of Nick Fury, well, Nick Fury in general. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and then aside from that, Black Panther is also pretty self-contained. And then I mean, Thor is important to Avengers, so I was actually kind of lost when I saw the first Avengers movie because I hadn't seen Thor yet. So there are some things I was just like, "What do you mean? What are they talking about when you came here before?" And like, I hadn't seen Hawkeye yet. Um, I haven't seen just that stuff. So there are a few things I was missing, like the Tesseract. I
Hmm.
knew about because it was in Captain America, but because I'd
Yeah.
seen that and I'd seen the first Iron Man, but I hadn't seen Thor. So it was only really confusing in Avengers. But now I know everything that happens in Thor, even though I haven't seen it yet. So I know it doesn't
Hmm.
really matter so much. And honestly, as long as you are caught up, like you're gonna get a lot out of Endgame. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so most of us had seen pretty much everything, and yeah, so let's take it from the top. So
Yeah.
it's when it
The beginning.
starts, yeah, when it starts, it's like right at the beginning or right where Infinity War left off. Pretty much literally, it's only
Well,
been like
it's like it
like two
starts.
weeks.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
2 weeks
no,
after
technically it
happened.
starts like a minute before the snap with Hawkeye's family dying.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. It does open with Hawkeye's whole family dying, which
Yeah.
which kind of like the
Which
moment
that was
it's.
just
Go ahead, go ahead.
that moment was just heartbreaking right there. Just to see Hawkeye, his family just disintegrated in ashes.
Yeah, and pretty much like I had a feeling like everyone kind of knew what was gonna happen the moment that whole scene started. It's just
Hmm.
like,
Yeah.
okay, Hawkeye's one of the characters we didn't know what happened to him yet. And it's just like, oh, so he's here and all his family's here. We know he's in the trailer, so clearly
Yeah.
something's
Yeah.
gonna go wrong here. And what could go more wrong than watching your whole family turn into dust? Or not
Or
even
not
like,
watch. Not,
no, he didn't. Yeah, he
he
didn't even see it. He like turned around and his daughter was just gone. And the moment you see all the dust flying in the air, the whole audience just gasped. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he like turns around and everyone else is gone, and then it cuts into like the it was title card after that, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was title
It was
card
title
after
card
that,
after that, and then we
and
go
then it
to
was the
Iron
ship.
Man in space. Yeah, we get Tony in
Yeah.
space with Nebula. Ship is stranded. I really like
Yeah.
that. I just wish that the trailers had it ruined that he got off the ship. Because
Mhm.
that first
Yeah.
trailer was really, really good because it shows him stranded in space. And we're just like,
Yeah.
how is he going to get back? It's like you kind of figure, in the back of your head, he's going to have to get back to Earth eventually. But you don't know
Yeah.
how is the big thing.
The thing about that was like a lot of the trailers, people like were already skeptical of the trailers because of what happened with Infinity War.
Right,
So
they changed a lot.
a lot of people were like, which of these are actually real shots?
I don't know what's real anymore.
Like, does he is he actually in space? Does he actually make it? Which of these are real?
Well, that first trailer is pretty simple because it's just him on the ship talking to his helmet. I mean, yeah,
Mhm.
his dialogue between that trailer and the actual movie was changed, but it's more he didn't die in the trailer. He did so did not die in the
No.
trailer. It was just kind of left up in the air. Like he
Mhm.
mentions like, everything's going to run out like tomorrow, but we don't see what happens. And I thought that was really really powerful cuz I mean, everyone's going to see this movie already cuz it's fucking Avengers. But that was
Yeah.
like really
Yeah.
cool. It was like trying to hook you a little more. She's like, well, shit, how's this gonna
Like,
play out? Because I hadn't even thought about that. It's like Tony and Nebula are like stuck in space
yeah,
because
like,
because like Thanos like teleported to Titan and they kind of
mhm,
crashed the donuts. So
yeah.
I didn't even think that the Milano was the only way off. That's the name of the ship, right? The Milano?
No, that one's called the Bellator.
Oh, the Beltor.
The Milano was destroyed in Guardians 2. The new one's called
Okay.
the Bellator.
Okay. See, I only saw Guardians 2 once, so I don't remember everything except for Yondu dying at the end and freaking Star Lord shooting his dad in the face several times. Anyway, um, yeah, so I was kind of disappointed that they gave away that Tony gets back to Earth and that Pepper's still alive. They gave both of those things away in the trailers. And,
Yeah.
some people don't watch the trailers for that specific reason, but I liked getting, like, every bit of information I can, like, into a movie
Hmm.
because I'm starved for anything about it going into it. And there was too much in the trailers that was
Yeah.
given away just with that because that was another big question. It's like, is Pepper still alive? Because that would have been such a more powerful and impactful moment when they got back. If you see, oh my God, Pepper is alive,
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
Or if he gets back, and like that scene where Captain Marvel puts the ship back down on Earth, everybody runs out of the Avengers facility, and
yeah,
like Tony's like walking out, and he meets Steve, and Steve's like Pepper, and like or like Tony asks like, "Where's Pepper?" and they don't say anything.
that would have been. Well, I like that she's alive. I
Mhm.
really do like that she's
Rescue.
alive. Yeah.
Rescue was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, well, let's go back. So they're in the ship. I love the scene of him and Nebula playing paper football.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Personally,
was a good one.
it was so funny because it's so like normal, and his whole speech is just totally on 100% on point. Like Tony,
Hmm.
as always, Robert Downey Jr. is on point in this movie as Tony
Yeah.
Stark, like the
He's
whole
always
way
been on.
through. I find it really impressive that after playing a role for 10 years, he has like never phoned it in when it comes to being
Hmm.
Tony
Yeah.
Stark. He is always Tony Stark, and I love that.
Yeah, like he is Tony
He
Stark.
is
Like
Tony Stark.
he acts like that while
Yeah.
he's like in character, and he acts like that like while he's not
When
in character.
he's always in character because he just
Yeah.
is. He's Tony
Yep.
Stark, but luckily without the drug and alcohol problem now.
Yeah. Well, just like Tony Stark,
Excuse
he
me.
had the drug and
Just grab a
alcohol
beer.
problem.
I mean, let's be real. This role kind of saved Robert Downey Jr.'s life in more ways than one.
Yeah. Like,
Ironic
it was
that he
meant
dies
for
at the end of the movie.
like it was
Alright.
meant for him. Like it
Yeah.
really was meant for him.
Yeah, it really was. And when I first watched Iron Man, a million years ago, like, I didn't even know any of the backstory to Robert Downey Jr. because I was 11, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
anybody born
Around
after
there.
like the year, what, like 1995 didn't really know who
Yeah,
Robert Downey
well,
Jr.
you had to be like
was.
alive and aware in the '90s to know who he
Mhm.
was, and I did not. But I just liked it. I also remember it was really funny when I first watched it. My mom thought it was just a superhero movie, and then there's like that scene where he starts banging the reporter, and she's like, "Okay," and she like skipped past. Like they don't really show anything,
Mhm.
but it's just like when they're like rolling on the bed, she like immediately skipped that scene. It was so funny. Like in hindsight, it was funny because I didn't know what was going on at the time, but I thought it was
Yeah.
funny. Um, anyway, so we have that. He has his speech, which was really, really nice. And then Captain Marvel shows up and just immediately sours like the first 20 minutes of the movie for me. Like that
Yeah.
whole segment. God, I could do another podcast on why I really don't like Captain Marvel for a variety of reasons. Um,
Yeah.
but
Uh,
she like I know like they had to use her. Like I kind of knew when she showed up. Like yeah, that's how they're gonna
Yeah.
have to get him back because like how else were they going to bring him when he's back when he's stuck out in space? Because like
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
the Guardians are all dead. They all died on Titan, so we don't have any other seafaring heroes that could
yeah,
really do anything.
yeah. The only one
Yeah.
that was left was Rocket, and he didn't have a ship.
Yeah,
He was on Earth.
because whatever the new Milano is called, Tony's on it. So yeah, he
Yeah.
didn't have a ship, and honestly, Tony is like the only person that would have a spaceship. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was kind of a no-win situation because they had to use Captain Marvel to get him back. And you know,
Yeah.
I know I let out an audible groan when she showed up. I didn't really hear a lot of other people doing that, but you know, it is what it is. So yeah, she shows up.
I honestly think that they used her effectively.
Yeah, Groot is dead. Groot is dead at the beginning of the movie. Don't forget that Groot
Yeah,
is
Yeah.
dead.
yeah.
Uh,
Groot is also dead.
yes,
Well, that's right. Every Guardian except for Rocket is
except
dead.
Rocket and Nebula dies.
Yeah.
Nebula's
Well,
Yeah.
Nebula's
and
pretty much a Guardian of the Galaxy,
okay, yeah. Yeah,
especially after this movie.
everyone else is dead.
Yeah, all the other Guardians are dead. So we get that, and then she unfortunately sticks around for like the whole like first portion. Not really the first act because this like before the time skip is all kind of part of the first act. Because otherwise you'd have 4 acts, and you can't do that in a movie. So yeah, she shows up, and God, you know, like I said, I could go into for a long time why I don't like her, but aside from my problems with her acting chops notwithstanding, just in general, I just don't think she was written very well for the MCU standards. Because her, like, you haven't watched her movie, Chava, but I have, and it's not bad, but it's not good either. It's like below Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange was just a pretty okay movie in my
I like
Yeah,
Doctor
it's in the
opinion.
Strange.
middle.
No, Doctor Strange is good. I like it, but I'd put it, you know, I kind of consider it an average MCU movie. Whereas,
Yeah.
like, I think, you know, like all the Captain Americas are really good, and then, you know,
Yeah.
I'd probably put it on par with Iron Man 3, where I really like Iron Man 3, even though some people don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Iron
But
Man 3 is honestly a really good movie.
Yeah, I don't think there's any real MCU movie I don't like. I mean, Thor: The Dark World is probably at the bottom of the list, but I'd have to put Captain Marvel before Thor, under Thor. But I don't think there's any really bad MCU movie. I think they're all good in their own ways, and some have weaknesses, but I think they make up for them. But the problem is, like, the reason that movie isn't bad is because you've got freaking Samuel L. Jackson in it. So Nick Fury kind of saves that movie
Yeah.
for me. Even though I don't like
Yeah.
what they did with his eye patch, but again, that's a whole other Captain Marvel rant. Anyway, long story short, I don't like Captain Marvel. I think she's way too cocky and annoying.
Wait.
And not
Yeah.
because
No, it comes to bite her in the ass.
oh,
in the
thank
stomach.
God. Yeah, well, we'll get to that. Trust me, we will spend a good 30 minutes talking about why that scene's amazing. But it's
One of the greatest scenes in cinema
oh,
history.
one of the greatest scenes in the MCU period. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a guy, and according to Brie Larson, I wouldn't understand her character. But it's I just can't stand the way I'm like Captain Marvel could be good, and I could even forgive Brie Larson playing the role if she was written a little better, because
Like-
Captain Marvel has no real conflict because she has no memory in Captain Marvel, so there's no conflict. It's just like she finds out she's from Earth, and then she's like, haha, I'm really strong. Screw you guys. You guys have been holding me back, not the other way around. But just like they never were. Like, you were the one listening to them. You could have been like using your powers this whole time, and that's like the whole reason they have you. So why are they trying to stop you anyway? I don't know. But
And like, before anyone jumps on the bigot train, like
the sexist bandwagon, yeah.
if they had replaced Brie Larson with a male actor and still written the character the same, I still would have disliked it.
Like if it was like actual Captain Marvel, like the original, like
if it was-
Captain Marvel.
If it was the dude Captain Marvel written the exact same, he still would have been a shit character.
He would have been annoying. It's just they wouldn't have drudged up like all the stuff of like the whole women's power thing, because like to Captain Marvel's credit, I don't feel like that's overplayed in the movie. There is that deleted scene, like there's a scene with the biker where he pulls like the classic sexist, hey, how about he like hits on her, and he's like, how about a smile, and then he like walks in and she steals his motorcycle, and I actually love that because that's perfect. Like, the dude's a dickhead. Fuck him.
Yeah.
So I'm totally fine with that. I just thought it was really cringy that they went with those lines, but it was only cringy because I knew how bad it made men look. Period. Not that it's a blanket thing, like that's how it was. But anyway, but what I don't like is there's a deleted scene where instead of stealing his bike after he went in, she like borderline breaks his hand and then steals his bike. I'm like, that And then there's all these people like retweeting it on Twitter, just like, oh, I can already hear all the men in the theater crying if this had been it. It was like, only because that's like such an unheroic thing to do. Like, imagine if Captain America like broke a Nazi's hand and then, okay, no, that never mind.
No.
That's a good example because
Yeah.
hey, Captain America breaking it, who cares? It's a
Okay.
Nazi. But
Imagine in Iron Man 3 when Iron Man is going into the extremists like or for the Mandarin when he's
yeah,
like attacking the Mandarin's labyrinth. If the dude is like, or I don't like to work here, they're weird. If he
the
still shot
actor.
him.
Yeah, no, like that's a real thing. Just like tell me where they are. He's like, I don't know, and then he still shoots him. Like, come on, like the
Yeah.
dude's an asshole for like going along with this, but I mean, he doesn't really deserve to get shot. And this dude's just a like this motorcyclist is just a prick. But that's
Yeah.
not an excuse for you with your superpowers to break his hand and take his shit. Like taking his shit,
Yeah, that's kind of
whatever.
overdoing it.
You know, taking a shit, whatever, that's fine. You know, he's an asshole, he
Mhm.
kind of deserves it. But now, like, when you're causing physical harm to, like, what is essentially an innocent bystander just because you have the superpowers and can, that's not good. That's not, like, what Captain
That's
Marvel's
not
supposed to
heroic
be
at all.
about. Like, pure, like, male, female, whatever. Whichever Captain Marvel we're talking about, she's not the kind of character to break a guy's hand just because he's an asshole. That's not what
Yeah.
any superhero should be doing. He's not evil,
Yeah, they don't do that.
he's just a dick, and that was too far, and people are touting it like it's this some big women's empowerment thing. I'm just like, if this is what you want to do, that's not a good sign for you people.
Not a good Samaritan.
I don't know, it just seems wrong. And that's not the only thing wrong with Captain Marvel, but luckily that scene isn't canon, it was deleted, and the
Mhm.
other one I think fits more because that is kind of what little character she has. I think that fits more in line with it.
Yeah.
But she's just so. Sorry, go ahead.
Kind of pulling like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator 2, where like he goes up to the biker dude and he's like, I want your clothes and your bike, and just like taking his shit and leaving, not really doing anything to him, just like give me your
Um.
shit. All right, bye.
Uh. Have you watched Terminator 2 recently?
Terminator 2?
Yeah.
Recently, no.
Okay, because there's like this big bar fight where he like beats up half the patrons and then takes the dude's motorcycle.
Oh.
No, like how that scene goes is he like walks in, buck naked. We get like that first person view for a while, and he
Mhm.
like walks up to this guy who he like scans like has the right clothing fit for him. He's like,
Mhm.
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle. And he like laughs. You forgot to say please. And he like puts his cigar out on Arnie's chest. And then he's like confused because Arnold's not reacting, so he like picks the dude up and like throws him onto the stove. And then and then like another guy comes behind him with like a pool cue and like breaks it over his head. He trashes like half the bar's patrons and then leaves with the bike. What you're probably thinking is when he's leaving and like the bar owner comes out with a shotgun. He's like, I can't let you take the man's wheels, son. And then he like walks up, takes the dude's shotgun, and then takes his sunglasses and leaves. That's probably what you're thinking of. But no,
Yeah.
but he is he's like an unfeeling machine that has like the objective and nothing else. That's a bad comparison for your really
Yeah, that's
strong
true.
female character.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. Honestly, and it's just the big overplayed. And okay, you know what? Screw it. We're just getting into this now because you know what? I just need to get this
Let's
off
just
my
get to
chest. So Brie Larson herself is as full of herself as Captain Marvel is, and that's probably half the problem, because she did like that whole thing with Wrinkle in Time before she became Captain Marvel, talking about how like movie reviewers are like predominantly white and the movie's getting poor reviews because of that. And it's like, I will accept judgment when I hear a woman of color's opinion on the movie because that's who the movie's for. That's not the point. You can have a target audience, but that doesn't mean they can't be judged like from like critics are paid to be unbiased in their judgment. And if he's like if a critic is gonna like have a history of like sexist shit, he's gonna get out. He's gonna get outed. Like that's just how it works. And so she played that off as like the movie was getting bad reviews because men are reviewing it. She had like her whole thing where when she was doing the press tour thing for Captain Marvel, she was like she like specifically wanted women of color in like she like okay, one, that's racist. You wanted a specific like race to interview you. That's racist and sexist. And and for another thing, I mean, come on. Like, is she actually believing this? Is she just trying to make a point? This isn't supposed to be like the rant about Captain Marvel cast, but it's kind of what it's turning into. And like, and every time she's in an interview, like I don't know if you've seen it, but there's an interview where she is with Chris Hemsworth
Oh
and
yeah, Chris
Don
Hemsworth and Don
Cheadle.
Cheadle.
Yeah, and they're
Yeah.
talking about doing stunts for. I think they're talking about Endgame, or no, they're talking about Captain Marvel, her movie Captain Marvel, and he's like. She's like she was trying to do I'm trying to do my own stunts as much as possible, and that's cool. I love when actors do their own stunts.
Hmm.
That's like a really big cool thing to me. And then Chris Hemsworth is like messing with like joking. She's like, "Oh, trying to be the next Tom Cruise," and she's like, no, I'm trying to be the next me." I was like, "Okay, all right, ma'am." He was making a joke, and he was making a joke, and you just hung him out to dry. Like
Yeah.
this is the '60s, and he just made some like "how do you act from the kitchen" joke.
Yeah,
Like
and like,
that was how you responded.
and also, if
Yeah.
someone compares you to Tom Cruise when you're doing your own stunts, that's a good thing.
Dude, if someone compares you to Tom Cruise at all, that's a good thing. Like he is like a pretty damn good actor, and yeah, he does all his own
Yeah.
stunts. Like that's like a compliment. And she acted
Yeah.
like he just insulted her,
Mhm.
and I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the gal in real life. Maybe she's a fine person, but I still don't agree with her. Like these things she keeps saying, like about her
Yeah.
movies and otherwise. And there's also this whole big attitude right now that's really predominant right now in Hollywood, where every time there's like a big female lead in a movie, they act like it's the first time it's ever happened.
Yeah.
Like
And that's
with Godzilla, they're like, oh, like this Godzilla movie's doing so much for like women empowerment. Like, have you ever seen a Godzilla movie at all? Like,
the Mothra twins
come
have
on.
always been a thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
like every like out of the in the Kiryu saga, the pilot of Kiryu in the
Is a
first movie
woman, yeah.
is a woman,
Yeah.
and like not only is she a woman, she's a soldier.
And she's
And
and she was like disgraced too. Like she fucked up with
yeah,
that maser cannon, and they're like, okay, here's your next chance, and her next chance is to pilot a giant fucking robot dinosaur.
yeah,
Like that
and
is
she
serious.
just completely just annihilates Godzilla.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's just the thing, and not even that. Like we talk about that, like when Wonder Woman came out there talking about it, when Captain Marvel came out there talking about it. Like every time you've got this big movie that has a huge female lead, they tout it like it's some new thing. When this has been happening since, like what, the '70s? Like not like Star Wars, like Princess Leia. She was like a huge
Ellen
part of A
Ripley.
New Hope. And that's my other big one, Ellen Ripley. I actually did a speech on this like a few semesters ago for my speech class about this. And it just drives me nuts. I mean, I feel like every time you say, "Oh, look, they're finally doing something like with strong women, female characters," you're like depreciating the value of all these roles that have happened. Like you've got Leia Organa, Carrie Fisher. Like she was like one of the first that I can think of, like really big. That's at least that's relevant to me. Like really big, strong female characters. Like when they're leaving the prison, she's just like not waiting around. She's like, she shoots the freaking trash compactor thing. Someone's got to save
Yeah.
our skin. You know,
Yeah,
there's so much that she does. Like they didn't have a plan to get out of the freaking prison, and she just like immediately came up with one and saved all their asses, until
Yeah.
until it started to try to kill them. But that's just an aside. And you know, and she's like a prominent leader, and she like does a lot. She goes down to fight, do like the shield generator. I could go on, and you've got Ellen Ripley.
Yeah.
Like if you can come out of Aliens and not say like
Yeah.
Ellen Ripley is a strong, like one of the strongest female characters ever, you like were watching the movie with your eyes shut.
yeah.
Like-
You
Yeah,
just
seriously.
didn't watch the movie.
Like, did you miss the part where like literally like, well, not that, like not just her, like Vasquez too. Like she's like doesn't take any shit. And
Like
then, but
that scene where Vasquez is working out and the other Marines like, do they ever confuse where the dude's like, do they ever confuse you with a dude?
like,
And she's like, no, do you?
No, dude.
Do
Yeah,
they?
you ever get
They confuse-
you know, Vasquez? You ever get confused with a man? She's like, no, do you? And I love that. And but just like at the very end, so like literally all the strong men are like dead, Hicks is like out of commission. So what does Ripley do? She fucking duct tapes a flamethrower to a machine gun and walks into the alien nest and cleans house.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. And like Captain Marvel never does anything like closely ballsy as that because she has no weaknesses. And that's like a big thing. She's like Superman, but like without any of like the emotional depth.
And like
That's actually a really good way to describe it now that I think about it.
That's why I always keep saying that Wonder Woman did it better.
Yeah,
Wonder Woman did it so much better.
I'll be fair, I haven't watched Wonder Woman yet, but I've heard it was really good.
It is a really, really good movie. And the thing is, through most of the movie, like it keeps on dropping hints that it's like oh, Ares, the god of war, he's a dude. So obviously he's the one causing trouble in the world because he's the god of war.
Right.
And if he's still alive, like war is just if he dies, war is done. And eventually, like you find out that like no, war and crime and shit's always gonna happen. There isn't a single person to blame for this. It's everybody.
Okay,
not just one dude.
You just said that, and I immediately thought of the fact that like you kill Ares and war is over, and I just thought of like a Metal Gear crossover where Big Boss is like defending Ares because his whole thing is he needs a war to fight or he has no point.
Yeah, like
no, that just crossed my mind. But yeah, that's like a good point. And just in general, so yeah, this went into like we're not even to the time skip yet, and we're at almost 30. We're actually past 30 minutes because we've been talking about Captain Marvel so much. Yeah. Anyway, I don't like Captain Marvel. Long story short, but now I think I have pretty well like explained myself. So if anyone's still complaining, they're probably no one I care to hear from. So anyway, Captain Marvel comes back. We got Tony back. They talk about like we see Tony like have a mental breakdown when he's like talking. I love the scene where they like I couldn't stop him. Sorry, I couldn't either. And then we have them like him with an IV, and they're like talking. It's like, well, we're the Avengers. We do our best work after the fact, right? We're the Avengers, not the pre-Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I love like just like you know what, I needed you. That trumps the present. It's too late, pal. Because and I love that. And then he calls him a liar because Cap said like at the end of Civil War that he'd always be there if Tony needed him, and when he needed him most, he was not there. You know, you can argue like to the sun back, you know, how much of that was still Tony's fault, but it's still really strong, still cementing how much of a relationship these two have, even when they haven't seen each other in forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that so much, considering you know they haven't seen each other since Civil War.
And how much of that like continues on through the movie?
I mean, yeah, like the whole way through. And we'll get to that. We get I like we get like you know the reunion with Pepper and all that, which is really nice. Again, kind of spoiled by the trailer, but still nice. And then of course they're just like, well, what are we gonna do now? And then because they're like trying to figure out where they go, and then Captain Marvel's like, oh, we'll just go. I'm gonna go kill Thanos.
Yeah.
And got another facepalm. Not gonna go into it. We already did.
Don Cheadle's just like, come fuck that.
Just like, well, you know, it's kind of a team effort, yeah. So and then they're they find out where he is. They go to where he is. I love the Thanos has a retirement plan line. That shit's great. Yeah. I could fill a book with how many funny lines are in this movie, considering how serious it is too for a lot of it. Yeah. Once we get like post time skip, and it's like really really dark for a while, and then it kind of lightens up a little bit into the second act. So anyway, they get in the ship. We have Bruce, Nebula, Captain Marvel, Captain America, Rocket.
Rocket.
Yeah, Groot is dead. Hashtag Rip Groot. Who am I forgetting? Oh, and Black Widow.
Thor.
Yeah.
And Thor. Yeah, of course, Thor. Yeah.
They're all packed into the Bellator.
Yeah, they're all attacking the Bellator. They head to Thanos. We get this like extended cut of like Thanos making himself food, and it's just you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, when are they going to show up?
Yeah, he's just making breakfast. The man's just making breakfast, and then all of a sudden a laser hits him.
Yeah, and you know what? I will admit is like there's one thing that happens that's actually really out of character for Captain Marvel. She's like, I'll head down to recon, and then she actually comes back without doing anything. Because I half expected her to like come back up holding Thanos, just like to piss me off. but
Yeah.
like so they actually go down. They grab him. They find out he destroyed the Infinity Stones, and you can kind of tell,
Yeah.
like leading up to it, like he's still got the gauntlet on, but you can tell he is like significantly more like damaged than at the end of Infinity War, because you could see like he was
Yeah.
pretty fucked up at the end of Infinity War, but he's actually worse now when you see his face. So it's already kind
And
of
an
like,
arm.
yeah. So there's kind of like the hint that something else has happened, and
Yeah.
then we find out, yeah, he snapped the stones away, and then we get the awesome scene of like Thor just fucking cutting his head off. And
Yeah.
and true story, I called that line moments before it was said because he cut the head off, and I just said to myself, "One for the head," and then he said it,
Yeah.
and that
Like
was a big cheering moment
I
too.
forget who asked him.
Yeah.
It's like, why?
No,
What
no,
did
no,
you
it was
do?
Rocket. He's like, "What did
Yeah.
you do?" One for the
He's like,
head.
I went for the head,
Yeah, and
and it
then
wasn't Captain Marvel who killed him.
yeah, I liked that too, and like it
It
just
was Thor.
just the whole shock of like they jump in, grab him, Thor just cuts his arm off, so he's like immediately no longer a threat, and then that's like Thor like walks out of the hut into like the sunlight, and that's when we get the 5 years later, and that's when everyone like collectively went holy shit in the theaters. You can just hear everyone go, "What?"
Because everybody's like, well, Thanos is dead. What, like,
I know that
what
was
are they
so
gonna do?
cool. That was like a big thing for me because I was thinking, okay, they just killed the primary antagonist of the last movie. What the fuck? Like it's done, and we already knew about the quantum realm shit, but we didn't know what that meant. Like I mean, I'm sure some people figured out the time travel thing, but like we knew there was something involving the quantum realm with this movie's plot. But I always figured like that was gonna have something to do like when Thanos says like the stones were reduced to atoms, at first I thought, oh, maybe they're gonna go into the quantum realm and they'll find the stones there because they're like atomic, and then like somehow bring them back.
Yeah, like
Um,
reconstruct them or some.
yeah, that was my first thought. Was like maybe they're gonna like quantum realm scavenger hunt for the Infinity Stones, because that could have been kind of cool. Like they go drop into another universe kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so that was like my first thought, and then I wasn't sure. But that was like after when I heard he had destroyed the stones. Like going into the movie, I was wondering like maybe there's something in the quantum realm they're gonna use to defeat Thanos or something. But yeah, I like that this movie actually went really kind of like out of everything that I was expecting, and then so we get the 5 year time skip, and I'm kind of I've seen this movie 4 times, and I even still I'm a little hazy on the order of operations here. Doesn't it start? It starts with Scott getting out of the quantum realm, right?
The 5 years later, no, it starts in the meet where they're talking about
That's right. That's right. It's like the round
the
table they're having.
yeah, the support group.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. It's a support group. Yeah. So Cap's with all the people, with one of the I don't know. Is that Russo brother actually gay,
Yeah.
or did he just play a
No.
gay character? That's
just played
so
a gay
weird.
character.
It's like like you're gonna like what? I don't care that they had a gay character in the series, but it's just kind of weird. It's just like you're gonna put yourself, a straight dude, in as a gay guy. Like
They could have gotten like someone that was actually gay.
No, no, no. I don't care that if they were actually gay or not. I just think that's kind of weird. Just like you yourself are gonna be the gay character,
And the thing is, he's a recurring character, like in the MCU,
really, I have never seen him before.
because he was in Civil War. He was one of the doctors. That's like when uh when Falcon and Steve go to the dam where Fury was, like after when they find out he's still alive in that dam, like he's one of the doctors that's that like brings them to Fury.
Yeah, I didn't remember that, but anyway, and then we have like the whole Cap talking about moving on and everything. It's like we can't really fix it, and he's talking about like moving on and all that. And it kind of also plays into a problem I have with Cap in this movie, but we'll get into that once we're like at the end. Anyway, so we go from that, and then we go to like the hologram thing where
the hologram
where
conference
Nat's talking with like I don't know how to pronounce her name, but the Wakandan chick Okoye.
Okoye.
Okay, that sounds
Okoye.
right. Okoye, freaking Rhodey,
Rocket
and Captain Marvel.
yeah.
Yeah, who is now sporting the comic accurate haircut, which is unfortunate because I actually really like that character with longer. Like, if there's one thing I like about Captain Marvel, I like how she looks. Like, I like the design for the MCU. They did a good job, and
Hmm.
and Brie
Yeah.
Larson does look like Captain Marvel. So
Yeah.
as far as like a physical resemblance goes, it was a good casting. But I don't know. I'm a sucker for longer hair, I guess. But anyway,
Yeah.
so they're talking about like everything else that's going on because they're trying to handle all this shit in the world. But it seems like they do a good job kind of showing that they've got a pretty good handle at least on Earth, just because it
Hmm.
has been 5 years. So they talk about a like an under like yeah, you can see that Nat's still not totally there because they talk about like an earthquake underwater, and she's
It's
like,
like, are
well,
we
how
handling it?
are we handling it?
Yeah, and of
Nats,
course, like we handle it
it's an
by not
earthquake
handling
under
it.
it's an earthquake under the ocean. We handle it by not handling it. And there's a car
Yeah.
just a motorcycle just drove by. Yeah, and then we hear that something shit's going down with Hawkeye because
Of what Rhodey and
yeah, Rhodey's
Matt.
talking about like a whole Mexican cartel that's just been slaughtered.
Yeah.
Finally, someone doing that.
Yeah, I know, it's
Jesus.
about damn time. So Hawkeye's basically become Ronin now, and unfortunately, it's like for a really short amount of time. But yeah, so Clint is now killing people. Well, bad guys. He's basically he's become Kira without the magic notebook. He's going around the world killing criminals, and I just made that connection.
Yep.
I
uh,
mean, he doesn't need a magic notebook.
no, he is more than enough going for him without a magic notebook. Um,
Yep.
so yeah, and I love I think Black Widow has a really good spotlight in this movie because she doesn't really get a whole big focus outside of Age of Ultron, where she
Hmm.
they
Yeah.
talk about her back like her past and stuff like that,
Yeah, during
which
like the
is
dream sequence with
yeah,
Scarlet Witch.
yeah, exactly. Like that's like the last time we really got anything big on Black Widow because she just kind of serves as her character, in Civil War. She doesn't do a whole lot except be
Hmm.
places and let Cap and shoot, why did I just blank on his name? Bucky.
Bucky.
Yeah, Bucky get to the Quinjet and leave um the airport, the German airport.
Hmm.
Um
In
but
this movie, she like after when Tony just leaves the Avengers, she pretty much becomes the de facto leader of the Avengers
Yeah,
of
yeah,
what's left.
yeah. What's left of the Avengers? Yeah, because it was like Captain America before, and then Man took over because Cap went rogue, and then yeah, so Black Widow's kind of like taken over like everything, and but this movie does a really good job spotlighting her, like how she's been dealing with everything, and like, how she
Yeah.
actually she's actually been really on top of things, yet she's still like really broken up about not only like all of them are like over failing, but also just over like what Barton's been doing, and she's taken that pretty hard. And God, Scarlett Johansson just such a good job in this. Like this is
Hmm.
like the most emotional range we've ever seen in Black Widow. I'd say even more than Age of Ultron, and she does such
Yeah.
a good job with it. Um,
Hmm.
so the Cap shows up. They're talking about the past. Cap continues to be Cap, and that's
And another like a small little detail that I like
oh,
that
you
they
know what?
had.
I think Lang leaves the quantum realm after like the focus group because he shows up in that scene.
Oh yeah, when
Okay, forgive us, folks. This is like a 3 hour long movie, so I'm gonna get. Some,
yeah.
I've seen it
Yeah.
4 times, and I'm still gonna get some shit out of order.
Hmm.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
it's like the focus group, and then I think it switches to San Francisco, doesn't it, or something like that?
Oh
Or
yeah, yeah. It cuts to
because it was definitely the focus group first. I know for a fact that yeah, the
mhm.
first focus group is first.
Yeah, and then it's Scott Lang. He escapes out of the quantum realm. Uh,
By a rat, which was apparently part of Doctor Strange's calculations. That joke's been done to death, but I
I
mean
mean,
it's true.
it's 1 in 14 million.
Yeah.
Like, it's bound. There's a lot of unlikely shit that it was bound to happen.
Yeah, eventually.
14,605,000.
Yeah. So Scott gets thrown out of the quantum realm. He's trying to figure out what's going on. There's the whole scene where he's trying to find the stone monuments. I'm wondering. I'm assuming that they shot that on a closed set because like they have the Golden Gate in the background. So I'm sure that was all just green screened in.
Mhm.
Uh, but it was really cool, and it was kind of cool thinking like, hey, I've been there.
Yeah,
Kind
and
of. And go ahead.
I really liked like the monuments thing because like uh
Yeah.
and thinking is like, there's probably one of those in every major city.
Yeah, that's true. It just kind of reminds you of like the war memorials they have for like World War II and Vietnam.
Mhm.
So I think it was pretty cool and fitting. I liked it. Um, let's
And then
see.
like he meets his daughter.
Yeah, and Cass, you know what? It's so cool because there's like this moment where you like share Scott's like mentality. We're just like where you're both just like, is that Cassie? Like it's
Yeah.
been 5 years, but I keep like I was under the impression she was like 8 or something, but like no, she was like 11 or 12 or she was older than I thought she was in the Ant-Man movies. So she's
Uh-huh.
like a teenager, and I was like, oh my god.
Hmm.
It's like
And
that's not the same actress.
a little thing I like of the continuity in this movie is, um, in the beginning of the movie, since it's like right after, like pretty much right after Endgame or
At
Infinity
the
War.
snap, basically.
Uh-huh. Natasha has the blonde hair,
Right.
and after the 5 year skip, like she's going her red hair again, but you can still see the blonde.
Oh yeah, the blonde's still at the tips because
Yeah.
she's like growing her natural hair color back,
Hmm.
but the
So
blonde's
like
still there. Yeah.
the bottom of her hair is still blonde.
Which is
So like, I
thank
like it.
God because the red hair looks so much better.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
Cap shaves. Cap shaves too. That's the other
Yeah.
big thing. Um, so no more bearded Captain America. But honestly, I like him better without the beard.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Thor's right. The beard is his thing. Notice you've
Yeah.
copied my beard. Um, I notice you copied my ability to wield magical lightning elements.
Yeah.
Damn, why didn't we get a line like that? That'd have been funny. So you copied
I mean,
my
there's
weapon of choice.
the like, no, I get that one. You take the little one.
No. You get the little one. Yeah, that was great too. Um, anyway, that's way off. Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
they talk about a sandwich. And then
Yeah. So it's like they're talking about all that, hitting him with the sandwich because he's being a smarmy geek like always. And then Scott shows up, and then we like launch into the whole like quantum
Quantum
realm.
realm.
Quantum realm. Are you talking about a time machine? No.
like no.
No. It's much more complicated. It's a time
Yeah.
machine.
Yeah, it's a time machine.
God, and can we talk about how great Paul Rudd is and like everything?
Yeah. like
That man
it
does
just
not look
everything.
50.
No, he's like Keanu Reeves.
He
They're
doesn't
both vampires.
age. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Or Hideo Kojima. They're all vampires. They don't age ever, even though they're all like about the same age. I keep losing my train of thought. So they're talking about the quantum realm time travel. They go to because time passes weird in quantum realm. So then they go to Tony, and then we get like I love this whole scene like so much, like where like Tony is walking out of like the cabin, like, and what I liked about this movie is how much they call back to Age of Ultron specifically because that was like the last Avengers movie that wasn't part of this basically 2-part like 5-hour long movie. Um,
Yeah.
was Age of Ultron. So there's a lot of Age of Ultron callbacks in this. Like they mention, like when Tony has his breakdown, he mentions the Ultron Initiative,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And then we've got this part where he did the thing he talked about, like build Pepper a cabin somewhere and on
and
a
have
lake.
a kid.
Yes, and oh my God, they have Morgan Stark is actually there, and like you see him like sit down in the little chair, and everyone kind of like knows what's about to happen, but you're not prepared for how adorable she is.
Yeah.
Like,
She's a pretty
divine
cute kid.
light shore be destroyed. Oh my God, she's so adorable.
It was like mommy told me to come and save you.
Told me to come and see- Yeah, she's adorable. Someone give that girl's actress an Oscar. Give her 5. She deserves to give her 3,000 because she deserves them. Anyway, we get the mom never whatever. Mom never wears anything I buy her anywhere. My dad actually laughed at that line when we went to go see it.
It's relatable.
It's true. And then that's when Cap, Nat, and Scott show up, and he's like, are you telling me you are basing your plan on Back to the Future? It was great. Of course
like,
not
no, of
good
course
because
not.
no, of course not good because that'd be horseshit. And then so Tony's clearly out because he is like thoroughly established like Like he like not only did his wife survive, like now he's got a kids. Like
He's got a family.
he is checked out. Like he doesn't care. Like he's clearly still building suits like Iron Man 3 because this suit, to my utter surprise, that he wears in this movie is the Mark 85. Like,
Jesus.
5 years he made 35 suits, and like to be fair, that's not as much as he made like between Avengers and Iron Man 3
Yeah.
because that was more than 35. I think. Wait. Mark 42.
Yeah.
It was up to, like what he was on, like what, the Mark 7 in Avengers.
Yeah, it was
So
the Mark 7.
no, it
that's
was
the one that,
exactly 35 suits. So no, he built 35 both times. But this time it was stretched over a 5-year span. Well, not including the rescue suit because that's not part of his, obviously. But yeah, there's that. Yeah, I was floored. You know what? I only found out that was the Mark 85. I was like, oh, Mark 51 looks pretty sick. But when we were we were getting like statues, like we were getting like printing statue pre-orders at work, and one of them it said Iron Man Mark 85, and I was, what? That's number 85? But it doesn't do anything different than 50.
I mean, it does. It has the like.
Oh, it has
a lot
like
more stuff.
it has
That's
the shield thing.
blade.
Yeah. Well, all of them had like Mark 50 had the blade. It's more of like the perfection of the technology. I just didn't think it was gonna take 35 different suits to get to there. But yeah, because that's like kind of what's implied is it's the 50 was like the first true nanotech suit, and the 85 is the perfected version of it. And you can kind of see that 'cause he's got like the shield projection thing, like ripped straight out of Halo 4, and then he's got more blades and stuff. And I don't know if that suit has more mini arc reactors
Like the lightning
in it or not.
channels.
Yeah, he has
lightning
like the lightning thing that he uses, like which was like he just like I'm just imagining he's sitting there like building the suit in the garage. He's like, hey, I remember one time Thor hit me with his hammer's lightning, and that was pretty cool. Let's make an option for that, but without my suit taking damage.
And then he also had like the deployable little repulsor cannons that just pop out of his back. It's like kind of like how the Mark 50 had the
Well, it had like the
two big
refractor,
ones.
like the refractor wave thing, yeah. But this one did have like smaller ones, yeah. So it's just more of like more versatile nanotech, which was admittedly freaking sick. Because you got to wonder how they're going to improve off the bleeding edge. And honestly, I like this design too, because it's kind of like more of a callback to one of the classic armor,
Yeah.
where like the arms are yellow and everything. I wasn't sure about the design at first, but after I watched the movie, I really enjoyed it. The design and the movie, of course. So yeah, he's kind of checked out. He doesn't want anything to do with it. But then after they leave, well, no, like after they leave, but that's later. So next they go to Banner, who is now Professor Hulk, and
Which is awesome.
And Lang just going, I am so confused. These are confusing times. A lot of people were laughing at that, and basically any scene that Professor Hulk was in, people were cracking up. But I really enjoyed the whole that is freaking
when they asked for the picture.
Yeah,
When they
that
asked for
too.
the
But I
picture.
mean, I'm thinking Mark Ruffalo. Like that is Mark Ruffalo doing the same tech that they use on Josh Brolin for Thanos, and just like so now we've got him, like with Hulk's strength and just him like, of course, tiny person. Like he is just so ecstatic to not be like a wimpy nerd anymore. It's so funny. Like I love that and how he like there's like a huge difference in how he conducts himself because now he's like got a lot of confidence to it. Like before he's always like, I don't know, this isn't like a good idea, and then once he's Professor Hulk and like now he's got like not that it doesn't go to his head. It's just now he has confidence because like he can handle almost anything. Like when he's like talking to Thor and it's just like he wouldn't have talked to Thor like that before he was Professor Hulk.
Yeah.
Like just like he's like, how would you take your hand off me? And he like removes his hand. So it's we'll get to
Because
that.
he knows like he can.
Yeah, like he knows that he can back himself up now. Like before, he was trying to always avoid conflict because if he got into a conflict, the Hulk is the one who's going to answer the door. But now he's not afraid of the Hulk going nuts, and that he can back himself up on his own strength. Also, there's an argument to be had whether or not Professor Hulk is actually weaker than just Hulk. I
Yeah,
mean, considering like also, can we talk about how the Hulk doesn't like have a a regen factor, a healing factor in the MCU?
he does.
Well, he does, but like remember what like okay, well, this is skipping ahead a bit, but when he uses the gauntlet at the end of the movie, his arm stays fucked up. Like it
Well, I
doesn't
mean,
like Thanos it makes sense because Thanos doesn't have a healing factor. That's not a Thanos thing, but the
Yeah.
Hulk does. He has like an insanely strong healing factor, and yet like his arm doesn't go back to normal. Like even we see at the funeral, like after the battle, his arm's still fucked.
yeah, it's still like in a sling. But I
Like
mean,
so does that like does that mean like the like it was really that much that it destroyed his arm, or is it more along the lines of it's just like he doesn't have a strongest healing factor? I don't know. It doesn't really mean anything. It's just something I noticed that kind of bugs me. Um, yeah. Anyway, I keep thinking.
they ask Professor Hulk, like, can you help us? And he's like, that
Banner with
is
time
not my
travel.
area. Yeah,
Yeah, but then
that
they
is not my
all
area.
yeah, but then they all go. They're trying to start working with the quantum realm technology, and I think it's like after this point that it goes back to Tony, and he's like messing with the tech because it's before they start testing it. Because he shows
Yeah.
up after they start testing it, so it's like they're figuring out that stuff after this. So he is like at the cabin. He figures out like just he's like just spitballing and figures out how time travel works in the quantum realm. And then we get that great scene where he's just shit, and you just hear Morgan go shit.
Shit. He's like, no,
No.
why would you
That is
don't
not.
say
That is
that?
no. You cannot say that. That is mommy word. That is mommy's word. She has patented it. Shit. It's like, what are you
What are
doing?
you doing
Because I
up
got
so
some
late?
important shit going on.
And then
So,
there's the ever adorable "I Love You 3000."
oh my
Go to
god, don't
sleep
get
with a
me
soul in your place.
started on that shit. But yeah, it's so cute because it's so like relatable, honestly. Um, Considering I have three younger sisters and they get away with shit all the time. So yeah, that whole scene's great, and then he and Pepper talking about time travel, like the whole plan, like what they could do, and she's
Mhm.
just like, he says like he wants to drop it, like he has it, but part of him just doesn't want to fool with it, like just leave it and not risk anything.
Yeah,
But
and
she
Pepper like,
says like it's like you're going to do this, just do it.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
and
Pepper.
also we skipped over, but there's that great scene where he's like looking at Peter's picture that kind of spurs him
Mhm.
to like make that.
To
And I
actually
think that's
do it.
yeah, and I love that he's got a picture of himself and Peter right next to a picture of his dad. That's
Mhm.
sweet. I like that.
Yeah, and Pepper's like, I know you're saying that you're not gonna do it, but you're going to do it. Like,
Yeah, like
it's
stopping you is one of the few greatest failures of my life. I love that line.
you. Mhm.
Which yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And then we go to like the whole that's basically just a comedy sequence where they're trying to make the time travel work, and Scott just keeps coming back at different ages. All right,
Like, this
someone peed my
baby's-
pants, and I don't know if it was old me or baby me, or
And then there's the meme of, I see
me.
this as an absolute win.
I see this as an absolute time travel. What? I see this as an absolute win.
That got memed
Oh,
so
that
hard.
no! Professor Hulk in general got memed so hard. Like, there's that one where it's like the Hulk like screaming from Old Age of Ultron or roaring, and then there's the pic of him like sitting down at the diner.
Yeah.
Like that one got that. Yeah, Professor Hulk in general was probably like the biggest meme potential in this whole movie.
Mhm.
It was like this movie snap.
Yeah.
So as far as memes go, yeah, there was a lot of good shit that came out of Professor Hulk. So there's that. Yeah, it's Scott
They're,
as a
they're talking
baby.
about how
Oh yeah, there's
time
a
travel movies are bullshit.
yeah. There's the Well, they get to that later once they get Hawkeye in the fold, but
Yeah.
there's a line that's almost like throwaway, and that you probably didn't hear because everyone, like at least the opening night, everyone's already laughing at the fact that Scott was a baby, but it's just like it's like he's a baby. It's Scott as a baby. He'll grow.
Bro. Yeah.
It's just so funny. Bring him back.
Yeah, it's like it's Captain America's just done. It's like, please
Bring him back. Yeah, and yeah, so we get that. Tony shows up because, of course, he fixes everything. We get the scene of him returning the shield, and he like dumps all of Morgan's shit off of it, and I love that so much. It's like,
Well, not only
what?
did he return the shield, he fixed it because if you remember,
Yeah, it was like
Black Panther
scratched. Yeah,
scratched it.
yeah. He fixed it. Just like, hey, he made it for you. Like,
Hmm
yeah, it was.
And it's like,
I
don't
love
it's like,
that.
hurry up because I didn't bring one for everybody.
And don't and keep it down. I didn't bring one for everyone. Plus, I had to get out of the garage before Morgan used it to go sledding.
That would have been
So
funny.
I love that. And there's so much, and it's just cool because you kind of get like that, like they are now like back to like back together in like a professional sense because things have been so rocky, and when when they show up, he's just like, it's really good to see you, but he doesn't want to talk about any like world like Avenger shit. He just wants to like live his life like as he is. But yeah, you can see like this is the point where like Iron Man is like officially back. Like he has over his like all of his reservations. He's been pushed on like both by what he feels is an obligation to like not only the world but specifically to Peter, and then also like the fact that Pepper's just like, just do it. Don't think about not doing it, just go for it. And then just like, we are getting the whole band, the whole crew back together. Yeah, we're working on that. And that's when we get to Professor Hulk and like so there's like Scott eating the tacos out,
tacos,
and then the ship's name,
Bellatar.
the Bellatar, comes back with Rocket and Nebula. Like, Rhodey, be careful, there's an idiot in the landing zone. And then he like lands like, what's up, regular size man? Cause like, the last time they were like really together, like he kind of grabbed him out of the sky when he was like 50 feet tall. So
Yeah,
which is, I love that. It's just another bit of continuity.
just grabbed him and just yeet.
Yeah, and then Banner gives him some tacos, and then he and Rocket go off to get Thor from New Asgard, which is like exactly, it's in Norway, like where Odin said this could be Asgard in Thor Ragnarok, which is there's so much attention to detail in this movie, especially considering how hard that is over what was it, like 32 different films over 10 years or something stupid like that. And there's a lot of that. So they go to Asgard, they meet Valkyrie, who, hey, she's alive, because we never saw her in Infinity War for some reason.
We didn't know what happened.
Like, we didn't see a cameo. Like, you would at least expect to see her, like, unconscious or something. But yeah, we don't see her at all. And so it's good to know, like, hey, she's still around, because that's like another strong female character done right, because she, like, has problems, like, a lot of problems at the beginning of Ragnarok, but she, like, learns to face them herself and moves on and grows. Anyway, that's more Captain Marvel shit. Anyway, yeah, and so we get the idea from what she's saying that Thor has not been in the best place since he like didn't go for the head the first time, and just comes down to get supplies, and you just see like the pile of alcohol,
beer.
Yeah. And they go, and we get the ungodly Fortnite cameo that I wish I could scrub from existence, the game as a whole, not just the cameo. And
Hey, but
then we see Thor in his melted ice cream form.
but Meek and Korg are alive.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really care about them one way or the other, but them being there was funny. I do like them as far as, well, Korg specifically, because he talks as far as comedic relief. Oh, Thor, that kid in the TV just called me dickhead again. Is that Noob Slayer 69? Listen here, Noob Slayer. Noob Slayer, this is Thor, God of Thunder. Listen, if you don't log off this game right now, I'm going to grab my axe, come down into that basement of yours. That basement of yours, rip off your arms, and shove them up your butt. Oh yes, go crying to your father, you little weasel. Yeah, that whole bit is great, and just Thor being just completely out of shape was another like really big twist, because and all the promotional, he looks like Infinity War, and it's like he's got the beard back, he's got his long hair back, which I like the long hair being back kind of. I do like the short hair, but take it or leave it. And then of course he's fat.
Another good thing that came out of that, I finally have a body like Thor. I finally have the body of an Asgardian. So, there's that.
Well, okay, Asgardian doesn't really mean much, does it?
I'm an Asgardian god.
Not anymore. Asgard. Well, aren't all Asgardians like technically like the other one? Well, now they're like technically aliens or some shit.
Well, they're a civilization. I don't think all of them are gods of something.
Well, no. It's really complicated because like the original Thor and Thor 2 were like Yeah, Asgard is like a different realm. Like it's a different
Yeah.
like separate plane of existence. And then in Ragnarok's like, yeah, no, Asgard is like a planet, but it's like Angel Island where it's a island planet that just drops off into
Yeah.
space and has no like center of gravity.
Well, I
So
mean,
I don't know.
like for all intents and purposes, like
Only
how Thor
four.
says in Thor 1, he says your ancestors called it magic, you call it technology. For all we know, that is just some advanced tech
Yeah, well,
that
that's kind of
like
like what's implied, but then like, and later in the movie, he says we're talking about space magic. Like he actually
yeah.
says magic, but anyway, and that's after he like kind of got his shit together from talking to his mom. Uh,
Hmm.
so yeah, they find Thor. He is just wasted. He's fat. He's in a really bad place because he blames himself for like literally everything. He uses Stormbreaker as a fucking bottle opener, and I love that. Just
Yeah.
chink, and you just it's there just long enough for you to realize that that's Stormbreaker.
Yeah.
He's using it as a bottle opener. That's what I want now. I want a Stormbreaker axe so I can use it to open beer.
As, or just like a mini Stormbreaker bottle opener.
No, I just want a whole size Stormbreaker that I will like hang up in my kitchen and use it to
Oh.
open beer. And to murder intruders.
Nice. Yep.
um,
That moment. Saw that moment.
yeah, so that's pretty great. And
I have a lot of pity for him.
they eventually convince Thor to come with them because
'Cause
Rocket,
Rocket
says
says that
there's
there's
beer on this
alcohol."
ship. There's
Yeah.
beer on the ship. What
What
kind?
kind?
And it just cuts. And then it cuts to. Does it cut to Tokyo after that? Does,
Yeah, it cuts to Natasha, or no, it does. It
no,
cuts to
it cuts to Ronan cutting people,
yeah,
and not in the emo sense, like in the we're gonna kill you now. Oh my god! Now he really is Kira. He's killing criminals in Japan. All right, no, he's no longer Ronan. He's officially Gajin Kira. Gaijin Kira. I'm calling him that the rest of this podcast. Gaijin Kira. So Gaijin Kira is in Tokyo killing Yakuza because that's just what he does. That's just what he does. And
yeah.
yeah,
What
and
do
then
you do on your free time?
and then he fights a guy called Akihiko who is apparently like a character like the Silver Samurai or something in like Marvel comics, or I don't know if it was Silver Samurai, but like he is like an established like Marvel character that he's
I
fighting,
don't
but
know.
it's in one of those senses where it's like, yeah, like they have the Marvel characters in there, but like not in like the full sense like they usually are. But just because
Kind of like how they
otherwise,
had the Shocker, but not the Shocker or the Prowler.
yeah, like that. Like they're kind of like they're there, but they're
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
like in their full like presence as they are in the comics.
Yeah.
He's kind of like a nod more than anything. So he sword fights this guy and kills him in the classic I slashed you in the throat and no one noticed for a second and then he died.
Yeah.
And then he speaks in Japanese, like he's speaking in Japanese like the whole time. It's like, hey, way to go, and Hawkeye like learning the language and stuff. I'm assuming
Yeah,
every
learning-
country he was killing someone in, he learned the language, so he's just like, I don't know, how do you say die in Spanish?
I want. What did they?
There you go. He's like
I
saying
wanted
that.
to see. I wanted to
that-
see Ronan
cartel.
like slice a bunch of cartels with like cussing them in Spanish. That would have been awesome.
Like, please don't kill us. Ay, cállate! He slices them in half. Oh, Lord. I'm glad I have you here so I can get away with that.
Yeah.
Because if you're laughing, it means it's okay to say. So, moving on. So he kills this Akihiko character, and then behind Gaijin Kira, we see Natasha, and by now it's like raining, and like we know it's Barton because we could hear him. Oh yeah, and like right before he kills him, when he's like, "Please, I'll give you anything," he like speaks in English. It's just like, does he know English, or did like your last words to him like just not mean anything, and then he died, and you like stabbed him through whatever you stabbed him through, and he died. Yeah, and then we get the whole scene where Natasha like brings him back, and it's a good scene. It's just, it's really impactful. It's emotional as hell. We
Yeah,
see
'cause she's like we can reverse it. We can
like
bring them back.
there's
He's
a
like,
chance. Don't do that. Don't give me hope.
yeah.
And she's like, oh, I wish I'd given it to you sooner. And also, is my nickname that I've been using for Barton is Mohawk Eye.
Mohawk guy.
Mohawk Eye because how he cuts his hair. Like, what
Yeah, it's
was
the
like
Mohawk.
that? How was that like helping you like kill anyone? Like his old haircut, like was perfectly fine, and now like his hair's longer at the top. But I
I
don't
mean,
know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's a good look. I
yeah,
don't hate
he
it.
looks good.
I don't hate it. Also, he has like that kick-ass tattoo on his arm now that I'm pretty sure wasn't there before.
Yeah.
Just like,
No, that
okay,
was new.
he took a break from killing Yakuza to get like an authentic Japanese tattoo of a dragon. No, that was the night before. He's just like,
Yeah.
all right, make it quick. I gotta go kill a bunch of Yakuza tomorrow. Yeah. So Hawkeye is back. He leaves Japan, so I guess I'll stop calling him Gaijin Kira, even though he still is. He still is in my heart. Um, and so we cut back to the Avengers compound where that's when they start talking about like how the time travel movies.
The time
Just
heist.
like, yeah, the time heist. Well, he coins that phrase when talking to Tony.
Mhm.
But yeah, so they're talking about like all the different time travel movies, and the Banner like corrects them. Because if you can't change the past, because your future has now become your past. And like, yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, Nebu's just like, yeah.
Exactly. It doesn't linger long enough for anyone to like really grasp if that's real or not, but it doesn't really matter for it because it's a fucking comic movie. Like, after the fact we can analyze it, and I have, but when you're in the moment, it doesn't matter too much because what's important is that the time traveling. It's just like any time travel movie. What do they go like die?
It's a time. It's
Hot
like
tub time
cop.
machine.
Hot tub time machine.
Hot tub time
Oh,
machine.
God.
Die Hard. Oh, that's not one.
No, that's not. That's not one.
That's so
It's like
great.
Terminator. It's like Terminator 1, Terminator 3, Hot Tub Time, or
I don't remember the back.
Time Cop,
Yeah,
Time After Time, A Wrinkle in Time,
It's like so
Hot Tub
back to
Time
the
Machine.
so Back to the Future is all a bunch of bullshit. I mean, it is. If you've ever like watched Back to the Future 2 and like actually studied it, yeah, Back to the Future 2 is total bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, yeah. So they're talking about that. There's a joke like, hey, be careful with that, and one test run, two test runs, one test run.
Test run.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
And then Hawkeye goes to the past, sees his family, and like loses his shit.
Yeah. He's like, I'll go. And what's just funny is like, there's never a point where Rhodey like has any kind of like hang up about him being back. Because when you think about it, like, shouldn't he be like, hang on a second, what are you doing here? Like, because he's the one that cautions like Natasha against bringing him back at all. It's just like he's been doing a lot of fucked up shit.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
But I mean, like in Infinity War, Rhodey's just like, you know what, this needs to be done. Like when he teams up with the Rogue Avengers, he's like, I'm teaming up with you guys because that's what needs to be done to save the fucking world.
Yeah.
Like he's somebody that's like can put aside how he feels about other people to accomplish the fucking greater good.
Well, he knows he knows what's going on, but that's true. But I mean, there's no like discussion or anything, or no like side comment even. It's like, hey Bart, what have you been up to?
Murder.
No, I'll just be like a one-off look, and he just like gives him it's just like a one-off line. He just kind of gives him a dirty look, and he's just like, I'll go. I don't know. Maybe that's why, because he just like immediately volunteers. Like maybe they didn't know he was there yet, but yeah, that's a really good scene too. Like you just kind of like feel, because like this man is like utterly broken. He's like Thor, but like if you went the other direction, if he just went on like an endless quest of vengeance because of his failure. Well, and it's not even really his failure either. Like he didn't know what happened. It just like happened to him, and he was stuck with the fallout of it. So he had like the cold quest for vengeance thing, but then you see him like he sees like what he's like been missing the whole time, and he like immediately like just like returns like just like that to being Barton again. So yeah, Hawkeye comes back. He's got the catcher's mitt, and yeah, and now we know it's good. We have like the awesome scene which you could cut in the moment from like any heist movie. Oh my god!
Yeah.
Okay, the moment I get footage of that, that's when I'm gonna edit that. I'm gonna make that a thing. Where it's like they walk up, they're like talking about, like Cap gives his awesome speech like he always does. This is the fight of our
he's
lives.
good at that.
Whatever it takes. He's good at that. Yeah. So, Oh yeah, and I guess they like talked about the whole plan for before that, before they left. We keep forgetting shit. So they talk about the whole plan, like where all the stones are. We get all the Big Lebowski references. A movie I've never seen, but I kind of got the jokes with between Tony and Thor. We get a Ratchet and Clank joke, funnily enough. Um, but yeah, they talk about where all the stones are. They realize that if they go back to the first Avengers movie, they can get 3 at once. Then having to go to Asgard during Dark World to get the reality stone, the ether. Yeah, it's not technically the stone. No one would have done that. And then he later calls it the stone. Probably because he's so drunk.
He's like, is he drunk? I think he's
like,
dead.
hey, you want to get? Is he asleep? I think he's dead. That's great. And then she's like, oh, and just like, hey, we want some breakfast? Oh no, thank you. I'll have a Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
And then there was getting the power and soul stones.
Yeah, go to Vormir and to
Korag in first Guardians of the Galaxy. So they split up. Cap, Tony, and I keep saying Cap's
Banner.
like the only character I'm like keep referring to as his hero name and not his real name. So Steve, Tony, Scott, and Bruce all go to Avengers 2012. Nebula, War Machine, Black Widow, and Hawkeye go to
space,
like the Final Frontier 2014, and then 2013, Thor and Rocket both go to. It's just the 2 of them to get the ether.
Yeah, they go to Asgard.
Yeah, they go to Asgard like the day his mother dies, and then it starts in New York. I remember that because everyone went wild seeing the Leviathans and the portal and everything flying around.
Seeing the title screen saying New York 2012, everyone was like, "Oh!"
Dude, it was just like it was such a hit. Like, because like I remember when I saw that in theaters, I was like, how old was I? 7 years ago.
2012.
Yeah, it was 2012. I was 14.
7 years ago.
I was 14 when I saw it. I know, I just had to do math in my head, and I'm bad at that. I was 14 when I saw that movie came out. It was so weird seeing that. And we get like a bit like get some like scenes that are kind of like redone just without the Avengers theme with like like one of the best shots in that movie, the spin.
Yeah.
And then we go to like a random alley, and it's everyone like phases in. The quantum realm suits are all nanotech, thank God, so they're not wearing them the whole time. And Rhodey's the only one that has like a quantum realm like layer for his suit because his suit isn't nanotech, which is kind of funny. So then Banner goes off, like the Hulk shows up. 2012 Hulk shows up, like smashes shit, and I love that so much. Where he's just like beating the shit out of that one poor Chitauri.
Yeah, he just annihilates him.
And then Bruce just like puts his hand up, like all embarrassed. It was funny.
It's like,
and then Bruce going out, like, guess I gotta go. He like picks up the motorcycle, just kind of like drops it, like punches the car.
I like how he doesn't even try it still dents the fuck out of it.
Yeah, he's just like, eh. And he jumps off to go find Doctor Strange, who of course we know isn't Doctor Strange yet, and he finds the Ancient One, and it's cool seeing the whole. So this is what the magicians were doing, while during that. We just didn't see it because it was too far away, and we get like, I can't wait. He like tries to take the Time Stone from the Ancient One, which is a huge mistake, and she like knocks his ethereal form out of his body, and it's just. And then it's just Mark Ruffalo again.
And like I like how like the Ancient One knows, like she knows. He's like, I'm here for Doctor Strange. She's like, oh, you're about like 5 years
about 5 years too early. Yeah,
performing surgery.
Well, it makes
20 blocks out.
Yeah, well we knew that because the Ancient One could like see everything up until the end of her life. So she like knew all that was gonna happen already. Although I don't think she knew that because that was outside the time stream, so I don't think that counts. So yeah, otherwise she would have like known what he would have said and would have already just given him the Time Stone. Yeah. So there's that, and then it cuts to Tony, Steve, and Ant-Man. Fuck. I'm not even gonna try. I'm just gonna use their names as I feel like it, just interchangeably. Y'all mean the same thing. Yeah. So they're all going to Avengers Tower, where you see it's like the ending where Loki is cornered. And then it goes to like after that where it's like, all right, we can all stand around posing later. Let's get this cleaned up. And so Tony sneaks into the office, like drops the suit off, which I think is noticeably faster. That's another thing that 85 has. It's noticeably faster than the 50 when it comes to deployment and
Yeah.
undeployment. um, so like he sneaks in, um, we get the that's America's ass line.
It's like, wow, that suit did nothing for your ass.
Mr. Rogers,
It's
I
like,
forgot that suit did nothing for your ass. Yeah,
it's like
don't
as
just
far
think,
as I'm
Captain. I'm
concerned,
concerned. That's
no,
America's
America's
ass.
ass.
And then so he flicks Ant Man's ass into the onto onto the
suitcase.
briefcase. Yeah, because the Hydra people show up, just like you didn't know they look like bad guys,
Yeah. Like,
which was great because that's so true when you think about it in hindsight. So they come to take the scepter. So they take the scepter, which I almost said Scarlet Witch, which Black Widow just hands to them, and then
Mhm.
the Avengers are like taking the Tesseract with them in the case.
And the
So
elevator.
yeah. So he knocks them. So and then Ant-Man like climbs up Tony like onto and into his shirt.
Mhm.
So no, not into Thanos' ass. That's bad. That was a bad theory, a really bad film theory. And then the Hulk has to take the stairs. Like no, and he like punches the elevator.
Yeah.
Shit was great.
So many stairs.
So many stairs.
I don't know why he didn't just jump down.
I know he totally could have, but it's because we needed something to go wrong.
Mhm.
What could go wrong except the Hulk? So So that's happening. Cap is going to intercept the scepter. He's the interceptor, and so he.
Just
He's the interceptor. I mean, hey, I didn't think of that.
Like-
That was on the fly, and that was actually really good. So he meets up. He Tony's like telling him where it is because he like jumps off and like kind of a recreation of the scene from Avengers and like gets the suit back. It's lucky no one who watches the sky for a living notices this shit.
yeah.
And so Cap like walks into the elevator. And we get kind of like what looks like is gonna be a reenactment of like the best scene from Winter Soldier, where he beats up the whole elevator full of dudes.
Yeah.
So we can start. Any of you guys want to get out? But and then like so he's like confused, and the guy that becomes Crossbones, whose I guess his name is Rumlow, he's like, it's just like sorry, I can't. He's like Captain. And then he says Rumlow, and then like he's tipped off, and I don't know if that's because he didn't know his name yet. I'm assuming he didn't meet him till Winter Soldier. So I think that was like a slip up on Steve's part. I'm assuming that's why he started to pull his gun because I didn't remember, but that's why I assumed. He's like, "I've changed plans. I'm running point on the scepter. There's been a rumor that someone may try and steal it, or maybe attempt to steal it." And then he pulls the ultimate like fan service for everyone that hated that meme. Hail Hydra.
Yeah.
And then he just walks out with like the dumbest smirk on his face.
It was like, holy shit, that worked.
Yeah, I know. Because the bald dude like looks all like surprised, and he like looks at Rumlow, and Rumlow is also surprised, and then it just cuts to him walking out with the scepter. And it's great. I love that so much. And then we cut to the bottom floor where
The
Tony
lobby.
is the lobby where Tony is dressed as a shield agent essentially, and then and Ant-Man actually like disconnects something. Just like, you're just giving me a mild, what was it, like a heart failure. He says something like,
Yeah. He pretty much disconnects the arc reactor from like the body, which like pretty much gives him
puts
like
her
a
cardiac arrest. Yeah, that's what it was.
Uh-huh.
It's like, I'm gonna pull my plug because the director of not the director,
The secretary.
the secretary of Shield, the guy in charge of Shield, who is also part of Hydra, is like trying to take the Tesseract. And I love all the expansion we get off the first Avengers movie with like extra shit like that fills in the blanks a little bit. That was really really cool, even though we're seeing it from like a different angle.
Yeah, because like one of the main questions of like going from Avengers to Age of Ultron was like, how did Hydra get the scepter?
Yeah, well, yeah, because they actually mentioned getting it to Doctor So and So, or something like that. Oh shoot, there was something else. There was another cool thing I wanted to mention that just skipped my mind.
Oh wait.
Yeah.
when he gets the-
I was thinking the muffler thing on Loki's face.
Oh yeah.
Whatever. There's a better word for that, but I forgot it. But yeah. So the thing, shut up, and like puts the mask on his face, and he like switches to Captain America again, just to give us our future conflict. So
Yeah.
yeah, so Ant-Man drops in, pulls the pin, and Tony starts going to, like 2012. Tony starts going to cardiac arrest, and then through a time paradox, suddenly modern Tony starts going to cardiac arrest, and they both die.
Yeah.
That'd be funny as shit.
And then,
But
like, I like how Tony's like, he needs a doctor. Like,
it's like,
calling
we
the
need
doctor for himself.
yeah, I know, it's so great. It's like, hey, I need some help. The guy needs some help. It's like he's lucky no one noticed, like recognized his voice.
Yeah. And like Thor like tries to.
Okay,
puts,
I
like,
have no idea if this is going to work.
He's like, holy shit, it worked.
And then he's like, oh my god, I had no idea if that was going to work.
And then what else? Oh yeah, they fixed the reactor thing. And what else?
Wait, they fixed the. Well, yeah. So the like Loki notices when Ant-Man kicks the case away, and then Hulk comes busting through the wall, and like fucks Tony shit. Like, how did he not like get severe like head trauma from that? It's like, hey, give me a break. I just got hit by the Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and too many stairs. Yeah, and so then because of that, Loki like grabs the Tesseract and just teleports, and that's gonna be the setup for the Loki series. Mark my words. We should get alternate continuity Loki like messing with 2012. Like, well, wait, where's Loki? Where's Loki?
Yeah.
So they have that snafu, and then like we just get like the best thing. It's just like just Cap truly like being like a man that has now existed in the modern world for some time. It's like, oh, you gotta be shitting me.
Yeah, it's 2012 Captain America.
Comes, I have eyes on Loki. I'm not Loki, and I don't want to hurt you. Yeah, I'm honestly kind of surprised 2012 like Cap didn't like realize what was going on, like that at least that it wasn't Loki. But I mean, I guess it would have been hard to explain the time travel thing.
Yeah, because I mean, Loki can. That's something Loki would have done.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he did. That was the point. So that's why you have like they have really good grounds for that. But then we get the kick-ass like Captain versus America fight, where like you got like the double shield throw and they like spiral off. Just like, well, one of them's getting him back because current Cap has the magnet thing, but 2012 doesn't. So they have the whole
I could
fight.
do this all day.
Yeah, I know. Which is funny because like, how did past Cap get in so many hits? I mean, it make like obviously like current Cap's trying to hold back a little bit, not to like fuck his own shit up.
Yeah,
but like current Cap, like 2012 Cap thinks it's Loki, so he doesn't care. He's just going all out. And so then they drop down like the number of stories. He actually gets put in a chokehold, and then he trips him up with saying Bucky is alive, which was really cool because I hadn't thought of that. And then he like grabs the scepter, and Interceptor uses the scepter the way Loki did, and just like puts him to sleep. It was awesome.
And then he like looks down, and he's like, "That is America's
really
ass.
is America. That is America's ass." That was so great. His new name is Captain Interceptor. Anyway, so Captain got the scepter. He was a successful interceptor, and then unlike the two unsuccessful interceptors who failed to get the Tesseract, which doesn't sound like scepter, so the joke is kind of dead. And so they're trying to figure out what to do, and they think, hey, why don't we? Yeah, I think we're like forgetting to cut to other scenes, but I think we'll just go from like plot to plot because they're really kind of like all connected anyway. Just to keep things simple, because I don't remember like what order they were cutting in and out between the scenes, because in my mind, like they did, I think that's a good hallmark of the movie is that I couldn't tell you when the scenes got split, because in my mind they're just one big
it's just
like,
one continuous thing. And then it cuts to the
you don't
next one.
think of it as like separate because of how well they're integrated with each other. So
and also it doesn't feel like 3 hours.
It kind of does in the beginning, but once you start getting into the time travel and especially the ending, that's when it doesn't feel like 3 hours.
Yeah.
The first act does kind of stretch, but there's a lot of really good character moments in it, so I think it earns the time it has. The whole movie does. So they're trying to figure out what to do. Then Tony has the idea of going back in time again to the military base. Yeah, to the military base in New Jersey, where Captain was created. And then yeah, because that's also when Hank Pym was still around, so they could get more
Mm-hmm.
Pym particles, and they could get the Tesseract because the Tesseract was still in Shield custody back then.
Yeah.
So that's their plan. Is they send Ant-Man with the scepter, the new interceptor, back to the future, and they go back again. And at this point, we'll cut back to what Hulk's been doing because he's been trying to. Well, Banner's been trying to talk the ancient
The
one
ancient
out
one.
of the time stone, and she's like, "Well, if you take the stone, it's gonna screw over the timeline because the Infinity Stones make time," which makes me wonder, well, why did time still progress then after Thanos destroyed them at the beginning of the movie? But that's an aside. Um,
Yeah.
and then he's like, "Then why did Strange give it away?" And then she's just like, "Oh shit! Well, if Strange did that, then here you go."
Yeah.
And that's solved like
Like-
really, really quickly. It's just like, "Oh, okay. Well, if Strange did it, then here you go. Here's your time stone."
Because she's like, Strange was meant to be the best of us, like
Yeah.
the best one. It's like if he did it, then he had a really good reason.
Yeah,
to
there
do
must
it.
have been a good reason. So she gives the time stone, and the idea is they're just gonna have to bring them all back to the moment they were taken, which means they're gonna come back to their past selves and be like, hey, we won. Here's the time stone back. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Because like the moment it was taken means literally like the moment it left. So I guess that means they just have to jump in the moment they jumped out. So I guess technically they wouldn't run into each other, but still,
Mhm.
I think it'd be pretty
I'm-
funny.
I'm pretty sure like as
Yeah.
soon as like Hulk left, like Captain returned. He's like,
Yeah,
there you go.
Steve's like came back.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so there's that. So then Banner gets his body back. He goes back to the future, and so now we'll just go to the Asgard one because this one's actually not terribly long. I don't know. I wonder. I haven't looked. Was Natalie Portman actually in a few scenes, or was this all like unused footage from the Dark World?
Actually, no. I think it wasn't any new scenes, because it's just to see. The only scene we see her in is when like someone knocks on the door, so she gets up to the door to walk towards the door, and then there's Rocket.
And
right
the
behind.
rockets in the background. Yeah, I don't
I
don't know, but I know she was at the premiere.
Because I know there was a actor or actress in the movie that didn't shoot any new scenes. So I think that was it. I think they just took that scene from Dark World and just like superimposed Rocket
on it.
into
Yeah,
that.
I could
Yeah.
believe that. I mean, I only only ever saw Dark World once, so I could believe it. So Thor is now like in his like hobo outfit with Rocket in Asgard, and
Uh-huh.
and Rocket's trying to like talk him into it. He like does the classic slap in the face, but like Thor is just like he's like the opposite of Banner. Thor has lost all confidence in like anything he
Yeah.
can do. Like he didn't even bring Stormbreaker with him. Like I thought that was crazy. Like he literally did not bring Stormbreaker with him. I mean, when you think about it, he wasn't really gonna need it, but still, and he like doesn't use his lightning powers at all until the very end of the movie. So he is basically just there to get his shit fixed because he ends up
Yeah.
running into his mother because his mother's was raised by witches. I see with more than eyes. So like they basically yada yada their way into having her like know what's going on. But you gotta love Thor like the way he is, like how vulnerable he's like. Are you crying? No. Yes. It's like my from the future. The future hasn't been kind to you. Oh, I never said I was from the future. Yes, I'm totally from the future. And then so they have their talk, and that's really nice because his mom's been dead for a few movies.
And he knows like that's when it's gonna happen.
Yeah, and she used to like talk him out of like saying like, "You're gonna die. You're gonna die, mom." So so Rocket gets the ether.
He tells her that he's like, "You died today."
No,
She's
no,
like,
no, no,
"I
no.
know."
He doesn't say that to her. He says there's something related to her about today. He wants to tell her. Like he says it when he sees his mom for the first time to Rocket. So, It was a fancy broad. It's my mother. She dies today. Yes.
No, but like he still says like, "You died today," and she's like, "Don't worry, what happens to me."
No, I'm pretty sure he
What
does not say you die. She just says like whatever happens happens, but I don't think he ever explicitly tells her she dies. I'm pretty sure, and I mean I've seen the movie 4 times.
No, maybe he doesn't say like you die, but
No,
he says
he's like
something bad happens to you.
He pretty thoroughly hints at what's going to happen, and she probably knows. But I don't think I'm pretty sure he doesn't come out and say you're going to die. So there's that. But she kind of helps him talk into well, it was really a good development for his character because I almost said Thor Wakanda. Thor Ragnarok did a lot for his character. There was a lot for Thor's character, as far as giving him a little more. Um,
Hmm.
being who he is, and this movie kind of focuses a lot on Thor kind of being more of who he's supposed to be, rather than like the king that he's been trying to be. And he kind of like said he wasn't going to rule, and then Odin died, and he's like kind of has to. But
Yeah.
now, he has been hands off king this whole time because he's just been drinking ever since, he killed Thanos. And, as far as leader's gone, he's kind of done a shit job. And his mom kind of like, he kind of comes to realize when talking with his mom, you're like, you know what? I'm not supposed to lead. I'm supposed to like just be off doing my own thing, being a hero and all
Hmm.
that. And then so Rocket gets the ether, and he's got, all of Asgard, all of the Asgardians coming after him. Uh, so I regret nothing. And so before Thor leaves, like, no, wait a minute. He like sticks his hand out, and then we all know what's coming. Like, what are you doing? Sometimes it takes a second, and then Mjolnir comes back. I'm still worthy. And that's when it cuts. I know from that point it cuts into the Guardians plot,
Hmm.
because I clearly remember like right before they teleport, we get the opening chord to "Come and Get Your Love," very clearly.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's
because
like we see the opening of Guardians of the
yes,
Galaxy
and
1.
I like before we get to that, I always like to think that the 2014 Thor is just confused as shit as to why Mjolnir just like left his hand,
Just-
like leaves him, and then he like tries to call it back and nothing happens because he took it back into the future. So it's literally
Mhm.
not in the timeline. I mean, because in reality, like Cap would have returned Mjolnir to the exact point, so that wouldn't have happened. But I'm just
Mhm.
imagining like it's gone and Cap hasn't brought it back, and he's just like trying to summon it and it's not coming back. What the
It's
hell?
just like
Where'd my hammer go? I need my hammer.
he's just freaking out. He's like, "Oh my god!"
And then Odin has the God of Hammers talk like
Mhm.
3 years early
Yeah, it's
or
like
2 years early or whatever, and or no,
he's
it's
like, "Are you Thor, the
2013.
God of Hammers?"
2013 Thor. Yeah. So what I don't remember what Ragnarok came out. What 2016?
17? No,
2017?
18. It came out at 18.
Well, Infinity War came out 2018, and that came out in like April.
Then it might have come out in 17.
Okay, wait, now we need to look. All right, we need to look.
I don't know, man. I just work here.
I'm good. No, you don't. I'm googling it. I don't pay you. Yeah. So they go back, and we get the opening to Guardians of the Galaxy, and it starts off the way it normally did, and then when it cuts out to like no music, just War Machine and Nebula looking at him, and you just hear Chris Pratt going, "Come and get your love,"
Yeah,
and
it's like
everyone just started dying. 2017.
yeah.
It was 2017
And
when
then,
it came out.
and then Rhodey's like, "So he's an idiot."
So he's
And
an
then
idiot. And actually, before they did that, it showed like them landing on Morag, and then
Mhm.
um, uh, Black Widow and Hawkeye take off for Vormir,
Yeah.
and then they just have like the pod. And also, there's a line I need to call back to when they talk about the Soul Stone. Just like it's the universe, a place of death, and Scott just goes, "Not
Not
it."
me. Not
He
it.
just goes, "Not it." Oh god, that's just how much like levity is in the first act, considering how serious it is great. Um, okay, so then we get to the part where you don't even see it coming. Like it's just Chris Pratt's face, and then you just see Rhodey's arm just come into his
Yeah.
face and just knocks him out. And it's got such a satisfying sound.
Just.
Boom! They just drag him off, and now Star-Lord gets eaten by those little like things he was kicking away.
I like when they arrive to the temple. He's like, "Hold up! There's booby traps."
It's
She's
like,
like, "What are you talking about?" It's called the Temple of the Power Stone. Like you're gonna step on something, there's gonna be skeletons and spikes
Skeletons
everywhere.
on spikes and arrows and all there.
She just walks and like takes it. And he's like, "Okay."
All right. He's got like that little ball of light for some reason instead of like I don't know a light off
A
of his
flashlight.
suit. You think like it would have considering like the Iron Man armors do. Anyway, So they go
I'm pretty
in.
sure she says
She
night
she
vision too.
grabs the Power Stone, but it's at this part where we like no. Like, but actually before they even get to that, she mentions other people looking for the Power Stone 2014, and it cuts to 2014, Nebula
Nebula and
and
Gamora.
Gamora fighting. Is that something we saw in Guardians of the Galaxy?
No, that's just them just in a planet that Thanos was ravaging
Yeah,
at
yeah,
the
yeah.
time.
I just wasn't sure. Well, he's not ravaging it. That's what the Ravagers are for. He's cleansing it, bringing
Okay.
balance.
Perfectly
Anyway,
balanced as all things should be.
yeah,
He did
exactly.
nothing wrong.
Well, he did get his head cut off. Anyway, I gotta stop saying that. I keep saying anyway. It's starting to bother me. So then, we get to see Nebula and Gamora talking with Thanos because they're gonna go get the Power Stone, and that's when we get the Nebulas have the same network, and I don't know how current Nebula didn't know that.
Hmm.
I didn't realize that, considering like she should know how her operating system works. It's an advanced version of her older one. She's got like the metal arm and everything.
Hmm.
So somehow
A
she
lot of
didn't know
people,
that would happen.
yeah, and then a lot of people were like, "How is it happening?" Well, there's something called quantum entanglement. It's a thing, and
It
also like
is.
it's one consciousness.
It was brought. Well, it's not quantum entanglement because that was brought up like in Ant-Man 2. Ant-Man and the
Hmm.
Wasp. That was like discussed because that's what happened with him and Janet. Was quantum
Yeah,
entanglement. But I don't think this is quantum entanglement because this, like, she was in the quantum realm and then he entered the quantum realm. This is like a different point in time. So I don't
hmm,
think that's what this is. But it's just, if there's a network, then clearly that network's pretty damn big and it makes sense that it would stretch to Morag because, I mean, if they could get there easily enough, then it makes
yeah,
sense. But anyway, I don't think it's that important because it serves the purpose of moving the plot forward and it makes sense to a degree. So they finds out, and at first, like current Nebula isn't aware of it, but after they get the Power Stone, she realizes what's going on as they're like stalling her out, and she like wakes up into like she stalls out, doesn't go back with Rhodey, but she makes it
hmm,
back to the pod and is trying to call Nat and Barton when it happened. Like her ship's getting beamed up, and I don't know if you've watched the How It Should Have Ended, but at one point they're just like she like uses the thing and goes back forward in time
yeah,
again. But like when you think about it, like she's like can't really move, and like you think like she's an attractor beam, they're gonna like take any chances of her escaping. So I don't
yeah.
know. So just yeah, I think that's easily explained. So they
Hmm.
get that nebula, and I think at this point I think it switches to Vormir.
Yeah, so it's just a
Or
Vormir.
it switches to Vormir for a little bit. Yeah, cause like it switches to I think it switches to Vormir. They talk
Like,
they joke. It's Nat and Barton. They joke about Rocket didn't have to climb a mountain, and they
yeah,
meet Red Skull. He says yada yada. You have to lose the thing you love most. And then I don't remember if it
and then it
cuts.
cuts.
I don't
It
remember
cuts
if it
back.
cuts there and cuts. I think it cuts there and cuts back, and then it goes back later to him just
Mhm.
talking to him. But
No, it cuts away from that, and then once everything else happens, it cuts back to Vormir, where they're like
right,
pacing at the edge of the
trying to
cliff,
figure it
and
out. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So yeah,
and Red
so
Skull's just like, all right,
yeah, so nothing
buddy.
really important there happens except the another issue is why the hell didn't Nebula mention this? Like, I guess like technically speaking, there wasn't really a way around like someone dying here
Mm-hmm.
because like, my joke is why didn't Hawkeye just throw his bow?
Something you love just
Yeah,
throws the bow.
so you let's lose that which you love most. And he's just like, I'm sorry, Nat, but I have to do this. And she's like freaking out, trying to pull him back. He like steps up to the edge, and you just see him like reach back, grab his bow, drops it, and then they both just get teleported back. And he's holding the soul stone. He's just actually crying. Like his bow
He's
has
like,
like been the same since like I don't even know if it has been, but it's just been the same bow since Thor 1.
yeah, he's just like sobbing, and Natasha's looking at him like, you serious?
It was all the family I had left.
Oh God. Ooh, 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 God. Ooh, that's
Funny.
deep. Oh, that's deep.
Yeah. And then she's like, "What about me, asshole?" Yeah. So whatever. I think it's just because there was no way around it, and honestly, it will probably make the most sense. Like those two have the most attachment, like between anyone in the team, because since half of the team is dead, so a lot of those attachments are kind of gone. But I don't think any other duo really could have like pulled that off. Because
Maybe Cap and Tony, but they weren't gonna kill them like that.
not that early, at least.
Yeah.
No, yeah, they had to be in the final battle, and we like already knew that. We kind of already knew they're gonna get that far, but yeah. So we switch back, and it's they've got the current Nebula, and then past Nebula. Like she's trying to tell Gamora, like, "Hey, Thanos fucking kills you to get the Soul Stone." But 2014 Nebula won't let her finish, and she has the idea of switching the plates and wearing a glove so they can't see her arms, not mechanical. And they have the pin particles and everything. So it becomes apparently immediately obvious. Oh, so this is how Thanos is going to come back into this movie and still be the final antagonist.
Yeah.
So after that is it goes to the scene of her saying, "How do I look?" with the new plates on, and you know what? I half expected a plot twist on a plot twist where that was actually still going to be the 20 like the current Gamora or the current Nebula, and she and Gamora had actually teamed up and taken down 2014 Nebula.
That would have, yeah.
And then you like fuck up the quantum shit and like kill them. Like that would have been kind of funny, but also anticlimactic. So yeah, so now we've got 2014 Nebula masquerading as current Nebula, though they haven't killed her, and that was convenient that they didn't kill current Nebula. So Gamora probably didn't want it to happen. So then we go back to Vormir, and they're just trying to figure it out, and they're just like they're having the discussion where they both like they're talking about themselves, but they like, yeah, we know who it's got to be. Yeah, we do. I feel like we're talking about different people here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, that whole scene was really, really good. You got a lot of feedback again, Chava.
Oh.
It's gone away now, but you had a lot for a second where it wasn't going away when you stopped talking. Yeah, so I honestly love this whole scene to death. Like this whole sequence of them trying to outdo each other to be the one that dies. It's so great because like he judos her and starts to run, and then she like grabs him back, flips him, and like shoots him with the stun thing.
The little stun gauntlet.
Yeah, the stun gauntlet. And she goes, and he just shoots. And he like the moment for me where I started laughing was where he shoots the arrow that just blows up right next to her. Like you could have just like knocked her arms off and knocked her to the side. And then he jumps and like tries to do the dive, and then she still grabs it. It's tragic, but it's tragically funny. It's like a comedy of errors because they're each trying to kill. It's morbid because they're trying to kill themselves, but they each like stop each other from killing themselves so they can kill themselves. It's really great, and I feel like it really helps the emotional impact. But all of a sudden, the funny stops when it's like you hit this point where like Nat is like going to die, and Hawkeye is trying so hard not to let it happen, and then she still does.
She isn't grabbing his hand, but he's grabbing her.
He is like he does not want this to happen. But then she falls anyway, and then there's just this moment like you don't see the impact, but you see her on the ground like how it was with Gamora, and you just like have this moment where like, holy shit, they just killed one of the original Avengers. Like, permanently.
Like, she's the first permanent, she's the first original OG6 Avenger to die.
Yes. And stay dead.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so that was pretty action. I think about, oh my god. I just realized something.
What?
By the end of this movie, they're only half of the original Avengers.
Oh, good. I just realized that now, too.
Because Tony died.
Only two of them die.
Well, no, I'm saying there's only 3 left because Cap is no longer, he can't be an Avenger. He's like 93.
Oh yeah, he's
I'm
super
saying
old.
by the end of this movie, there are only 3 of the original Avengers left. The Avengers got halved in their fight with Thanos. Holy shit, that just dawned on me. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but it probably was.
Yeah, it's just Thor, Hulk, and Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Of all people.
They're the only ones that are left. That's really crazy.
Hawkeye of all people survived.
Hey, alright, you know what? Hang on. Like, a lot of people shit all over Hawkeye because he's a human and he's not a woman. So like, there's no reason for him to be there. Like, come on, like,
No.
dude, Hawkeye
Like,
like does like here's the big thing, like he is totally human, just like Black Widow, and yet the both of them are running with like these superheroes,
with
and like
dogs.
and they're not holding them back is the thing.
Hmm.
Like that's the big
Yeah.
thing. I've heard people say like, oh, Hawkeye and Black Widow don't even do anything. They only start holding back. Like, did you watch any of the movies? Like, not just from like a fighting standpoint, but like it's very like they talk about it in Age of Ultron too,
Hmm.
like how you think that they don't need me. She's like, no, I'm scared because they do need you.
Yeah.
Like,
Because like it grounds them, and then also in the first Avengers, like she sneaks up on Loki,
yeah, like
and
she gets
even
the drop
Loki
on Loki.
said,
No, she outdoes Loki in terms of verbal trickery.
hmm
Like there's like they have their own skill sets and they're also really strong characters. There's like more to like these movies than just fighting. As awesome as the fights are, like they're still very character driven narratives for most of these movies. Yeah, there's a lot of superpowers and fighting involved, but it's the characters is what it comes back to. Like look
hmm
at Iron Man for God's sake. Like he doesn't become Iron Man until like what 30 minutes into the movie, and it's just all
yeah,
about how much of a stuck up douche he is, and then we have the big character
Yeah.
turning point, and the rest of it, it's like it's not even all just him being Iron Man, but also like his motivations for it, like why he wants to be Iron Man, and even his big moment at the end where he is Iron Man. He's like, I am Iron
yeah.
Man. So that's just a problem I have, where everyone just dumps all over the regular human characters with no powers, like they're useless, where they're
And,
Yeah.
not even in a fight, they're still good. Like how
and
much?
even
Yeah.
in a fight,
Yeah.
like Hawkeye, just
How much
like
ass has he kicked? I mean,
his
yeah.
accuracy with a fucking bow and arrow.
He got
It's
the drop
just
on Loki with that too. Like when he shot the exploding one, he caught it. He's like smirks and then it blew up in his face.
yeah,
Shit's awesome. And also like, let's remember like during Civil War when he was going up against the likes of Vision and Iron Man and War Machine, like he was still holding his own.
hmm
Like he eventually like tapped out, which is to be expected. But the fact is, he didn't just get blown out of the water immediately. And of
yeah,
course,
like
neither side was trying to kill, but still.
and then back to what we were talking about. Oh yeah, Natasha jumps off.
Well,
She
falls
like
off. She doesn't really jump. She's like hang on to
well,
it. Yeah.
she kicks the wall.
Yeah, she
and
kicks off the
leaves,
wall. Yeah.
and then leaves, dies, and then
We get another Berserk
Hawkeye,
reference. We get the Berserk reference for a second time.
Yeah.
Hawkeye gets the Soul Stone. He
Yeah.
wakes up and he starts crying, and then he
Yeah.
goes back in time.
Yeah,
And
and then
then
at this point, everyone goes forward, though they don't know that we've got a fake Nebula now. Well,
Yeah,
or
no,
or
it
past
cuts.
Nebula.
It cuts to
Yeah,
Tony and Cap in the base.
Oh
and
shit,
them
that's
getting-
right. No, that happens before this, because like the last thing that happens is Hawkeye gets the Soul Stone, and then
Oh,
it
yeah,
cuts
yeah,
back.
yeah.
So yeah, we actually like forgot about that, because I think that happens like before we get like the Guardians thing resolved. But yeah, so that's right. We do still have one more aspect to cover of the second act, really, before like the end of it, which is where Tony and Steve went back again to what the 50s, 60s,
70s.
70s,
Yeah.
right? And we get the last Stan Lee cameo. God rest his soul. It's such a great cameo too. Hey man, make peace, like love, not war.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so we're at the base. They're disguised, and their disguises are hilarious. They find out where the Tesseract is, and then they kind of split up because Steve goes to get the Pym particles, and Tony goes to get the Tesseract. And so they split up in the elevator. But I swear I've seen that black chick before. I know I've seen her in other movies. She looks very familiar, but she kind of notices that something's up with them. Especially because I love when Tony like steps forward to cover Steve,
Yeah.
because like he's like the mascot of that base, I'm sure.
Like if you looked at him, it's like, is that Captain America?
It's like, isn't he dead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frozen.
Well, they don't know that.
Yes.
Like
And the-
Howard's been looking for him, and he found the Tesseract, but he hasn't found like Steve yet.
That's true.
Because like they don't find Steve till modern day. because that's like when he gets like unthawed. Like not unthawed, thawed. He gets thawed and woken up. It's like
That
it's
thought.
like 2011 probably.
Yeah.
So while that's so they split up. Um, let's just do like their mini campaign separately. So they get like the cops, the MPs called on them. So Steve ducks
Mm-hmm.
inside an office, like an unseeming like a what's what I'm looking for,
Random office.
unremarkable office, and you can see as he's walking in, you can see that the words from director Carter is
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
on the window, so you know some shit's about to go down, and then
He sees her.
yeah, and he sees her, and he has like this whole little moment, like where he like notices on the desk, like it's the picture of him like before the serum, like
Mm-hmm.
scrawny CG Chris Evans,
Which,
and
like, that was really good CG.
yeah, oh yeah, and also Chris Hemsworth wasn't actually that fat, so they did good fat CG in this movie too.
Mm-hmm.
Like he grew his hair and the beard out and everything,
I mean,
but
he was also wearing like the belly suit thing.
yeah. But he was like, okay, yeah. I don't know if it was all like. I mean, I figured it was CG like when he was shirtless in the beginning, but
Mhm.
I would never want to like even if I was like an actor like that, I would never let myself go that far for a role because like regardless of how much I'm getting paid for it, it's such a pain in the ass to lose weight when you're fat. Like
Unless
it's
you're Christian
hard
Bale.
unless you're Christian Bale. Like it's well, I mean, actors in general, it's not that hard
Mm-hmm.
because I mean they're getting paid to do that, so they don't have to worry about day to day job like when they have to get ready for a role. So they can just do the gym every day. Like look at freaking um uh Spider Man actor Tom Holland. Like that dude is ripped, and that's
Mm-hmm.
because like he had to be. I mean he was already in really good shape. But then he like went to the gym. He has a personal trainer. You know, it's actors have an unfair advantage and comes
Yeah.
getting in shape because they have that like that is their job is to be ready for their role. So all they have to do is I mean it's not easy, but I mean all they have to do they have more advantages when it comes to going to the gym every day. They have a personal trainer, and then it's just like learning your lines and all that shit, which isn't easy. I'm not downplaying how hard it is to be an actor, but just as far as how hard it is to be an actor and get in shape, far easier than your common Joe.
Yeah.
So they have that advantage, but it's still it's all about the motivation. I mean, you let yourself go that much, and then you have to change your lifestyle around to not eating so much shit and actually exercising. And it's just I wouldn't want to do that. I would not want to do that to myself. But
I can't live
anyway,
without hot.
off of that tangent, we've got so Cap notices, and I love how long he stands in that window staring at her. There's this great picture I saw of Jim from The Office doing the same thing, and it looks so funny. I'll have to find it and throw it in the Discord. But I just saw his picture. It was like a side by side comparison, and it's just Jim also looking through blinds. And you gotta figure like, how did she not notice that she was being watched? Like you think
Because it
you'd
wasn't like
notice.
it wasn't like a one-way mirror.
No, it was a window, like and
Mm-hmm.
and he was just staring. I mean, because we can see him from the other side, and he's just
Yeah.
like staring and not moving. Like imagine if she had turned around and all of a sudden he like fell backwards over her desk because she screams and he just freaks out.
Just sees like Captain America's just staring
Well, no,
at
no,
you
like
from
I don't think
across.
she could tell it was Cap. I just think she sees someone in a window staring at her through the
In
blinds.
her office.
In her off. Well, granted, it wasn't locked, but
Yeah,
still.
that's true.
Yeah. So while that's happening, um, so he leaves, finds uh, he finds Hank Pym's lab. Or you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it was the other way around. It was the lab first, and then that scene.
Yeah.
Because the MPs weren't looking for him yet. So whatever. I get shit out of order. Sue me.
Then we get a cameo from the original.
Yes, we see the
Ant-Man
original
helmet.
Ant-Man helmet, which is really cool. But he like distracts him with a phone call, and I have to say, I think this young whatever Hank Pym's actor is looks better than the one from the original Ant-Man. But I love seeing him with the long hair.
It's Carl
He's like,
Gecko from Wall Street.
oh, it
What's
is.
his
Oh
name?
my God, you're right. It's the same guy. Holy crap, it is Carl Gecko. Of course, his name was actually Gordon Gecko. Yeah, I know he's like a high ticket actor because he and Janet, like both of those are high ticket actors. I can't remember. I just lost her name. I knew her name going into this and I just forgot it. But she like they're both like Michael Douglas. That's his name. It's Michael Douglas, and I can't remember her name. I'm sure it'll come to me later. But yeah, so we got like a really DH Michael Douglas, but it looks even better than that Ant-Man one did.
Yeah.
So Cap gets the pin particles, leaves. Then we have that, and then while that's happening, Tony is going underground to get the Tesseract, and he finds it, uses some nanotech to like cut a hole in it, and just throws it in a random briefcase. Better than the lunchbox it was in Captain Marvel. Oh, actually,
and then his dad comes in asking for Arnim
and
Zoloff.
Yeah, he's looking for Zola.
So many people like missed that.
No, I did not. I heard him asking for Zola. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. He's a part of Shield in this, like right now.
Mm-hmm.
While he's setting up all the Hydra sleeper agents.
Yeah.
And so we have like them talking, and it's really cool. It feels so legit. Like both actors. I think his name. Shoot, I don't remember his name, but dude, Howard Potts and Howard Stark, like they have some really good like dialogue. And then they're talking, and it just like resolves all of Tony's issues with his father that he had. Like, we already had "You're my greatest creation" from Iron Man 2, but he actually gets to meet and talk with him, and they like kind of work through his issues he had with his dad, and talking with him, and it's a really good scene. It's probably my favorite like character scene in the movie, like where it's just dialogue and like nothing else going on, because it hits really hard. Like I can like relate like really hard to what he's saying, and of course my dad's still alive, so it's not that hard, but like I can kind of relate to the situation a little bit. And
same here.
Yeah. So, but it was really good, and I really liked that. It was like the first moment where I came kind of close to crying, because it was such a nice scene, like especially at the end. And then he caps off like thank you for everything you've done for this country.
Like that awkward hug.
Yeah, it's really good. And then they leave. Then it goes to everything else, and then they all come back. So they all come back from the quantum tunnel or whatever they called it. Yeah, it was called
Quantum Realm.
Well, the quantum tunnel is what they're using to access it. So they all come back. We see Tony made a gauntlet, which they're calling the Power Gauntlet, but it's an Iron Gauntlet. Let's be real. It's the Iron Gauntlet. We're taking pre-orders for that too at the store. Not sponsored by my work. I just work for them. I just make the money by working for them. I kind of want it, but it's $100 like the Infinity Gauntlet was, like that big electronic one that has the moving fingers and everything. I kind of want it though. It's pretty sweet. But so they put it all in there, and we have the great fucking moment where all the stones go into place, and Rock just goes boom. And Tony, it's Tony, and I forget who the other character is, but it's Tony and one other character, and they both like jump back, and it's funny as shit. And then we get the house, not house party. That's Iron Man 3. I forget what the protocol is.
I'm blanking. It's like something protocol.
It's like lock down the house protocol or something or other. They decide that like Thor really wants to do it because he wants to like.
Do you know what is coursing through my veins? Cheese whiz.
Cheese whiz. It's like, look, not. It's not just because of things channeling up power to light up a continent. You are in no fit state right now. So, and then they decides to Hulk because the radiation's mostly gamma. It's like, I was made for this. He's like all depressed. I was like, dude, you get to like fix like one of the biggest problems you've ever faced, and you sound depressed. And so, and so everyone like gears up, and they lock down the house. And then while this is happening, Thanos' ship is like coming through the quantum tunnel.
Yeah.
And they also before this, I keep remembering shit after the fact, but they have like the whole scene where they're talking about how Nat can't come back. Before. Yeah, and Bruce like actually like throws the bench out into the lake.
Just across the world.
Yeah, actually, because you never hear it land. You never hear like a splash or a thud. It just goes off for all of existence. So then it's Gauntlet doing the Gauntlet thing.
Yeah.
I probably, you know what I probably should have done is I probably should have like written out all the scenes and structured this, but oh fuck it, we're 2 hours into this shit. Who cares at this point? We're in the end game now anyway. We're in the end game. We are at the start of the third act. All right, we're in the end game. So So Bruce puts on the gauntlet, and it starts like flaming his whole arm, which is funny because it didn't do that to Thanos, and also Thanos again doesn't have a healing factor. But it's like visibly burnt. At first, I thought it was like the gauntlet was like moving up his
Well,
arm to
because
brace it, but it's actually
because
like burning him.
yeah, well, I mean, because Banner put all the stones at the same time. Thanos was putting one at a time.
Well, he like builds up to it, but remember he puts it on later. Spoiler alert. And he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have like the same problem. It's just like yeah, he has the power, but it doesn't like fry his arm. Like he doesn't get his arm fried until he snaps his fingers. And even so, like whether you say it's because it's all at once or not, it shouldn't really make a difference because it's still the amount of power that gets added. Like,
Yeah.
like even if you built up a resistance, it's still gonna like fuck you up a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. But anyway, he pulls through, and he snaps his fingers, and then like our first hint that everything's like normal is like we hear the birds because that was actually a really good touch. Like we hadn't heard
Yeah.
like shit as far as
Mhm.
nature goes,
Yeah.
like the whole movie. And then we see the missile
yeah.
come down, and Ant-Man just gets
No,
blasted on his
first,
feet.
before that, like, Hawkeye's wife calls him.
Oh yeah. We see the wife calling. He like picks up, and then Aaron's like, I think it worked. And then you see like the dark shadow over the like
Mhm.
the chamber where they're using the gauntlet, and then you see the missile
Yeah.
come down. And what's really cool is if you watch it, if you like once you watch it multiple times, you can see that Lang actually shrinks himself down mid explosion, so he doesn't like just because people are just like, lol, why did Ant-Man just die when that missile hit him? It's like because he shrank down as the hit came through, so he took less like damage. And so and then Thanos just barrages the whole fucking complex
And
with
then just
missiles.
launches one big
God.
like missile, and
Well,
like just obliterates
it was
every.
I don't remember a big missile. I just remember a barrage that fucks
Well,
up the whole complex.
there was a lot of them, and then there was the last one was one big one.
Maybe I don't remember. It's unimportant. So yeah, everyone's kind of like stuck under. Hulk is underneath some rubble. He lifts it so Rhodey can crawl out of his suit because, of course, his leg don't work no more. Thanks, Vision. And then, like everyone like. Well, I don't know why Tony blamed Falcon because that was Vision's laser that like paralyzed him from the Rhodey from the waist down. Like that's
Well, it
on
was the impact.
that's on Vision. Anyway, that and Rocket, and they're kind of stuck, and the place is starting to flood. So Ant-Man's trying to get to them. We see Hawkeye like wakes up right next. He finds the gauntlet. Continuing the trend of Hawkeye is important. You assholes, stop insulting him.
Yeah.
And then the Outriders show up in a scene that was, I swear to God, was ripped straight out of Aliens.
Yeah, like
I
on the
knew
bench.
we were gonna come back to Aliens at some point in this podcast. We'd get back to Aliens at some point. Here we are. Yeah, it's just like that is so. That is like when they look up in the roof and they're all crawling. They're even in like the same angles on the walls.
Like
So-
when he launches the arrow.
Yeah, the light arrow, and it's just a bunch of Outriders. So he starts running. They start chasing him, and he manages to get up the shaft. Yeah, Thanos beams down. Thanos beams down because Nebula was the one that sprang them into the current timeline. Hello, El Tio Zera, welcome. We're getting to the third act of this film, this discussion. And then, so if you down, Nebula goes to go find the gauntlet. And then, let's see, I'm trying to remember everything that happened. Oh yeah, because everyone else was still up. So Tony finds Cap, wakes him up. They walk up to Thor, and he's just been watching Thanos because he hasn't been doing anything. Nebula we get like this is before, like doesn't Nebula come and find Hawkeye before the fight starts? I'm pretty sure it's before the fight starts. Yeah,
she finds
she
finds Hawkeye.
he takes
and
out all
Hawkeye's
the
like, oh, I know
Outriders.
you.
I know you. Yeah, she takes it. She notifies Thanos that she has the stones, and then he knows something's up. But that's when current Nebula and past Gamora show up, and then we have like the whole tragedy of like, yeah, Nebula probably wishes she could change, but the truth is like she's too devoted to Thanos at this point to do it, and so current Nebula kills past Nebula because past Nebula is gonna kill past Gamora. And this is turning all kinds of Dragon Ball level of like pronouns.
Paradox.
No pronouns. Like here's future Trunks. Here's kid Trunks. Yeah. Anyway.
Exactly.
And here's that
I did it
Trunks.
again. Yeah. This is
it's
a lie.
okay.
Here's future Trunks now with blue hair. So yeah. So that happens. So they have the gauntlet. Let's see. Yeah, because they're still stuck. So like. Yeah, yeah. Everyone else is like stuck until like the main battle starts. So at this
Mhm.
point, it's Cap, Tony, and Thor. And then
Yeah.
Thor, like, someone's like fucking starts dual wielding. Someone's Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, and he gets like his outfit. He has like a ponytail now for his longer hair.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard
Yeah.
to tell. I'm assuming that he doesn't actually get thinner; just kind of looks that way because his clothes are thinner. But he's
Yeah.
clearly like just as strong. So that fatness is just to show he's depressed and not like an actual, like, an exact example of like he is damaged.
Hmm.
So at least that's what I'm assuming, because he like still puts up a fight like as good as he did in Infinity War, more or less. He might be a little weaker just because he hasn't been fighting for 5 years.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
like Thanos is like actively pushing the axe into him later, whereas he couldn't fight him on it. Well, actually, no, I take that back because before it like hit him first. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Thor is probably just as strong as he was before. It'll play into a point I have later. So they all go start walking. We get this kick-ass scene of all three of the original Avengers, as far as like
Mhm.
the setup movies go. And Thanos gets his speech where he's gonna totally erase the universe and somehow still live and create a new one. And like, you fucked up, and where'd that bring you? Back to me. Except put a
Mhm.
little more eloquently than that. And then
You couldn't live with your own failures.
failures,
So
yeah,
where does that bring you?
back
Back
to
to
me.
me.
Yeah, and then so he stands up now with his like weird ass like double sword thing, puts his helmet on, and then we get the fighting. The fight starts, and at first it's like it's kind of funny how one sided it is, really, because like Thanos is like easily handling them even
Mhm.
without the stones. Like that just shows how like strong he is. Like everyone was attributing a lot of stuff in Infinity War to the stones, but the truth is, unless
Yeah.
his fist was closed and a stone was lighting up, he wasn't using them. It's like when he 1v1'd Hulk, that was just Thanos.
Mhm.
Like Thanos
Yeah.
is insanely strong in and of himself, especially in the MCU. So from there, we've got the fight that goes on for a little bit, and Thor's like really pissed off. He like goes full lightning, like the lightning eyes, and screaming at him.
Mhm.
And then he tries like Tony goes up close and personal, and then Thor throws Mjolnir at him, and then Thanos like grabs Tony, and he takes the hammer, which was admittedly a
Yeah.
little funny if it wasn't for how dramatic everything was, at least the first viewing. Because at this point, like during the rest, like from this point onward, like the crowd was freaking out every like 5 seconds. Something would
Yeah.
happen, everyone would be like, "Oh yeah, ha ha! Oh shit!"
Yeah.
So
Like yeah, like Thor throws Mjolnir and uh Thanos picks up Iron Man and uses him as a shield.
yeah, that's that thing I was just talking about.
Mhm.
Yeah, that part. And then yeah, so and so then Mjolnir hits the ground, and at that moment I knew exactly what was going to happen. But then it moves to Thanos trying to fight like so Thor like gets smacked, like he drops Stormbreaker, and then Thanos is like trying, and like Thanos starts like punching the shit out of him. So Thor like pulls Stormbreaker towards him, but then Thanos grabs Stormbreaker. And what's funny is everyone in the theater freaked out. I'm just like, you guys know that like anyone can pick up Stormbreaker if they're strong
Yeah.
enough, right? Like this isn't Mjolnir where you have to be worthy. That was like something Odin did specifically and just never took off the hammer
Mhm.
for some reason.
Yeah.
Works here, but yeah, that's why. It's like I think a lot of people are confused about that. And also,
Like,
actually, going back to another scene, a lot of people freaked out at the very beginning of the movie when Tony like took off his arc reactor and handed it to Cap. I was like, you guys do know he doesn't need that anymore, right? Did you people not
that was
watch
just the
Iron Man
casing for the
3?
suit.
Like,
Like,
yeah.
that was just where the suit was
Well,
stored.
not even, because there's like barely any nano machines left in there. It's like, you guys did see Iron Man 3, right? Where he gets the surgery and gets it taken out and all that. But whatever.
Mhm.
It's just kind of funny. And then so Thanos grabs Stormbreaker and starts putting it into Thor's chest, like in a reversal of what happened in Infinity War. Not that he'd know that.
Mhm.
And then we get what is hands down my favorite, not because of the meme scene in the whole movie, where because it was a perfect, like I told you, as my mini spoiler revenge, is they capitalized on my absolute favorite moment of Age of Ultron, which is where Cap kind of lifts Mjolnir. But
Yeah.
you see the hammer get picked up. You don't see who, and then it flies and hits Thanos in the back of the head, and then it zooms back and the camera shifts, and you just see Cap catch it. And that is the moment where everyone in the theater went absolutely ballistic.
Everybody lost their shit. I'm like, oh!
Dude, like when we saw it, it was like 2 days after it came out. But opening night, everyone, it's a good thing no one was talking because you couldn't hear shit. Because the whole place went insane. It was awesome. And then we get just the Captain America beatdown of Thanos, where he like starts spinning the hammer and like flies straight at him and uppercuts him off. It's like, and then he does the combo where he like throws the shield. At this point, it's just play by play, but I'm only saying it because it was awesome. He like throws the shield, then throws the hammer, bounces the hammer off the shield, and the shield still comes back to him. And there was just, I mean, come on. Like, I'm assuming if you're listening to this in any capacity, you've seen the movie because we're spoiling the shit out of it. But I mean, I cannot wait because the moment this movie comes out on Blu-ray, I'm gonna buy it and I'm just gonna watch that part over and over and over again, and another scene we're gonna get to as well. Yeah, it was just, oh my god, it was just so many kinds of cool because it was such like a culmination of character. So yeah, I mean, it's awesome. But then eventually, Thanos does get the upper hand. He like smacks Mjolnir out of Cap's hand. And then he actually starts fucking up his shield. Like, he loses his helmet in the process.
Breaks the shield.
Like, that sword has the ability to cut, like, an atomic level somehow. Because that thing was actually, he broke Cap's shield in half. Again, just like everything else Thanos does. He, like, breaks shield in half. And Cap's getting thoroughly fucked up.
He gets stabbed in the leg, too.
Yeah, he's not stabbed, he gets slashed. He takes a laceration to the leg. And So he's beaten pretty thoroughly, and then Thanos goes on to his tirade, or not even tirade, just his speech about how it's never been personal, but he's going to enjoy destroying Earth. And then he calls down his whole army, from the ship. So, like, the Chitauri, the Outriders, the other children of Thanos.
Dark Order.
Yeah, the Dark Order. Well, they're called
Black Order.
The Black Order. They're called the Children of Thanos in this, but whatever. Yeah, the Black Order. And everything else, and even some Leviathans, even some new like Chitauri giants that we hadn't seen before.
Yeah, some like tanks.
Yeah, we got a bunch of tanks and shit. Yeah, so there's this huge fucking army, and you just see like Cap like get up, tighten what's left of his shield, and like face them down. And that's
one of the coolest scenes.
Dude, it was so cool.
Frames. One of the best frames of the movie. It's just him just staring down that entire army.
Yeah, and then you hear the radio kick in, and you hear Cap and Sam on your left. And you see the portal open, and at first it's like the music's like really, really quiet. And then everyone else was quiet too, because it was like, what's going on? And then you see Black Panther, Shuri, I think that's his sister's name.
Yeah, Shuri and Okoye.
Like, they walk through the portal, and then Falcon flies through, and then Black Panther takes his helmet down, kind of nods to Steve, and then you see as the music starts to swell up, you see all these other portals open. The music,
the song's called Portals.
It's called Portals for a good reason, and you just, this was so cool. I mean, like, Cap getting Mjolnir and then beating down Thanos was, of course, awesome. Like, it's a good singular moment, but you just got this extended sequence where we see literally everything in this universe come together with all the portals opening, and you've got the Wakandan army, you've got the Ravagers coming through, you've got the Asgardian army, and you've got every big name player, because of course everyone's back to life now. So you get all the Guardians back, you got like Doctor Strange back, you got Spider-Man back, and I was the first person in that theater to scream the moment I saw my boy back on the screen.
And there's the Ravagers, the Asgardians, the Wakandans, the entire sorcerer,
the sorcerer army, whatever we call them,
and every other member of the Avengers
that's not dead permanently, like Vision or Black Widow.
But Vision and Nat come back.
Yeah, I mean, just everyone, and it was so cool because there's this huge one, and then the theme starts kicking in, the dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. But it keeps skipping. Like, it never hits its peak. Like, it just keeps repeating, and never hitting, like, the drop. and then it like stops, and you just hear Cap go, "Avengers!" And then the hammer comes flying to him, and it's just assemble. And then boom, it just goes dun, dun, dun,
And
dun,
it's just all hell just breaks loose.
Yeah, and we get, and it's almost like a recreation of the scene from Civil War, except multiplied by 1,000,000, because you've got these two gigantic armies going straight at each other. And I had, oh yeah, and Gwyneth Paltrow, Pettiper, is now here as rescue. She has her own suit. She actually did wear something Tony bought her for once. And I'll admit, like, and going into this scene, because of Infinity War, I had this biggest fear that the movie was going to end right before they made contact. Like, and it was just this, like, I didn't even know where it came from. I was just thinking, like, this is gonna end. Like, it's gonna end right here, and they're gonna do another movie where we have to sit to watch the fight. But no, luckily they made contact, and then all hell breaks loose, and it's so beautiful. And then, which is you're windy again, Java.
And then,
you're windy
sorry.
again.
And then comes probably one of my favorite scenes in that movie, where like before the fight starts, Ant-Man becomes Giant Man.
Oh yeah. He becomes Giant Man and breaks out Rhodey and Rocket.
And
Rhodey has a new
Rhodey
suit.
and Rocket like on the shoulder.
Yeah.
And then one of my best scenes, the armies are clashing, and the Leviathan just comes in, and Ant-Man just like left hook just knocks him down with one punch.
That was so great. I know, that's so badass. It's just this huge shockwave, and boom, one goes down. I got to admit that was pretty kick-ass too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you've got a lot of really awesome stuff that happens. You've got Peter Quill, Star-Lord, meeting like past Gamora, thinking it's his Gamora, and then she kicks him in the nuts twice, which is great.
You missed the first time, and then you got him the second
time. Wait, he's the one? It was either him or a tree. Yeah, and then of course Groot's back.
Yeah.
And everyone else, so that everyone was happy about that, I'm sure. I'm trying to think of what else. We get the Iron Man rescue tag team, where they're both like lasering in a 360. You've got Drax jumping on Cole Obsidian, just stabbing him over and over again. Yeah.
And then Cold Obsidian gets stomped by Giant Man.
Yeah, Giant Man just like flattens him like an ant. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And then and then he and like Wasp get a reunion, which is pretty cool because they're trying to get the gauntlet back into the quantum tunnel, send it back to the past.
Yeah,
to play the shitty games
van.
that suck ass. Or no, to send it back. Yeah, so Thanos gonna get it.
Yeah.
And let's see what else. Oh yeah, we get Peter and Tony meet back up again.
Mm-hmm.
Which is absolutely beautiful. And then we also get Doctor Strange and Tony also meet back up again too, and they're talking. It's like, hey, this is the one. If I tell you what happens, it won't happen. And then they just go back to fighting.
And then counting the girl power scene in the movie, we get probably the best girl power scene in the movie.
The real girl power scene in the movie.
Which is Scarlet Witch beating the absolute living fuck out of Thanos.
Not even beating him, just like tearing him to shreds. Like, I love that scene for so many reasons, but she walks up just like, you took everything from me. And Thanos just going, I don't even know who you are.
And she just like picks up like 2 buildings just like, oh my god.
She's just like, you will. And then she like smashes shit with him. She breaks his fucking sword in half with her like energy, what her mind blast, whatever. And then she like grabs him and starts tearing him apart.
Like
to the point where he decides it's more advantageous to start bombing his own people than to let that continue. And
because
I already
he
told
was going to die.
Oh yeah, and I already told you this, but what I wanted to really happen was they start bombing the shit, and all she does is lift one hand up, stops all the missiles, throws them back at the ship, and then keeps crushing Thanos.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
I mean, it wouldn't have been as cool as the climax we got, but one, it would mean Captain Marvel wouldn't come back into things, and 2, it would not be anticlimactic. Like, that is just, like, we already have the portals thing. I think that is absolutely deserved for Scarlet Witch to get that kill, because she has earned it.
Yeah.
And there are other ways they could have written around, like, her not actually finishing him off, or someone else like maybe shows up and breaks off
Yeah,
her
like Ebony Maw
confrontation.
maybe or somebody.
Yeah, or someone, either or. It wouldn't have mattered that much, but I think it's possible. But that's not what's really important. Because so they start bombing it. All of the sorcerers start trying to shield it. Doctor Strange uses like a tornado thing to stop the lake from flooding the battlefield
Yeah.
instead of just like taking that water and throwing it at their army or whatever. And then we get the return of Captain Marvel because they switch. They start shooting the sky, and then Friday is just like
badass.
I have to admit it is cool, but Thor could have done it.
Cool, but
So Friday,
Thor could've done
Thor could have done it. You remember in Infinity War when Thor
Yeah,
smashed the entire drop ship by himself?
Yeah.
You know, a drop ship, a ship that he flew through
Yeah.
to destroy. Something Thor could have done, but no, we have to bring Captain Marvel back into this. I mean, I can't complain too much because she's thankfully absent from almost the entirety of the movie except for the beginning and the end. But
Yeah.
so you can tell like parts of her scenes were filmed before Captain Marvel was done.
All of it.
Yeah.
All of it was filmed before
I
Captain
think
Marvel.
yeah, that's true. But she's still as annoying. Anyway, we don't need to get back into that rant. But so she
So,
comes
let's
back,
go
she
back.
smashes through the ship. Whatever, it had to be done. Someone else could have done it, but whatever. They needed to give her another like an actual moment. But it's okay. They give us an anti-Captain Marvel moment too, so I can forgive it. I can forgive her showing back up, considering what we do get out of it. And then, so she comes back. At this point, they're trying to get the Iron Gauntlet back into the quantum tunnel. We get the cool joke where Wasp says, "We're on it, Cap," as a nod to Ant-Man and the Wasp, where he's joking about calling Cap. So they're trying to get that started. And then they kind of do, but then it becomes like a hot potato game with the Iron Gauntlet because everyone's trying to go for it. So at first Hawkeye has it, and then he gives it to Black Panther, and he is running with it for a while. And then Ebony Maw grabs him. So then Peter jumps in, grabs it, and activates instant kill mode, which was so great.
Yeah.
He's just like freaking. He's like, activate instant kill, and it just starts stabbing every freaking like all the Outriders are trying to get him. It was so great.
It's just one shot.
And then he was still getting overwhelmed. So then Cap like throws Mjolnir, and it's a good thing Peter's not worthy because otherwise that would have been a really short flight. And he latches onto it with the web and gets flown over.
And then he gets caught by.
Hey, don't spoil it, Initial Z. We're getting to that. Don't spoil the good parts. We're getting to it. Don't worry.
He
We're getting to the good parts. Man, pull your tits.
he gets caught by Rescue. By
Yes,
Pepper,
Rescue
and then
catches
she
him.
gets thrown onto Valkyrie's horse, and then they get shot out of the air because all of this is happening during the bombardment scene.
Yeah,
So
they get shot out of the air.
He gets knocked out. His helmet actually gets knocked out too.
Well, I don't remember the helmet getting
uh,
knocked out if it just got like retracted, but I don't think it broke.
Yeah.
But then Captain Marvel shows up. It's like, I'm Peter Parker. Hey, Peter Parker, you got something for me? That part I'm okay with. I think that is kind of in line with what Captain Marvel's character should be. Like, you know, she's kind of like Thor. Like, she's got power to back it up. But, again, we already talked about why I don't like Captain Marvel. So we'll move on. But what I definitely don't like, and I will talk about, is when we have the incredibly forced girl power scene, in air quotes, where she's like, I don't know how you're gonna get through all of them. And honestly, I don't know what would have been worse, this, or if she just like, I'll handle it, and she just like wipes through them. Because at that point, it's like, okay, there are no stakes in this fight.
How it should have ended.
Yeah, but it's like, if she did that, there'd be like no stakes in this fight whatsoever. And then you needed to keep stakes in the fight. So, like, all the major Marvel female characters show up, and it's just so incredibly forced. Like, you figure, like, these characters have been, just not to A-Force for the comic. Well, if it was, I didn't see it as that. I actually don't know what the A-Force is. But someone's in the chat. But yeah, it just felt even if it was supposed to be a reference to something, I certainly didn't get it. But it might just be on me. But it's just, she has help, and it's just like, you've got, okay, so to be fair, you've got Scarlet Witch and you've got Rescue, pretty heavy hitters. Valkyrie's, she's all right, and then you've got Okoye, Shuri, and Mantis. What the fuck is Mantis going to do? Well, Gamora, she's a good fighter. You're quite the fighter. I mean, like Thanos said, you're quite the fighter, Gamora. But no, what the fuck is Mantis gonna do? She's like the only thing Mantis could do that if she had actually done this in the movie, I would have been totally okay with this whole scene, is if she just grabbed a Chitauri and made it commit suicide.
That would have been awesome.
Dude, like that was probably the perfect thing for her to do. It's just yeah, like to like what she says later. Yes, use knives, and it just starts stabbing itself to death.
Like the Chitauri's like on top of some, say like I don't know,
Drax,
Peter or Drax, yeah, and like the Chitauri's about to like kill Drax, and she comes over behind, like puts her hand on his head, and just, like the Chitauri just like aims the gun like at it, like his at his face, and just pulls the trigger.
Yeah, that would have been so cool. Or if she like started like brainwashing it to start shooting other Chitauri. I don't know. I would have really liked her to see her make someone commit suicide. But like Mantis isn't the kind of character that would do that. She's like not a fighter. The only reason she came in helpful at all in Thanos fight is because we had Doctor Strange to move her around where we needed her, and he's kind of busy holding a torrent of water back. So it's just I don't like that. I mean, my other problem with the fact that you do have some heavy hitters on this new like women's squad is like, how did they all like suddenly break ranks and join this? Like, some of these characters, like they had to be fighting. There's still tons of army left, and these are like some pretty big fighters. So they just like okay, I think like half a tribe of Wakandans just got like slaughtered because Rescue left backing them up to go help with this little scene. I don't know. There's a lot of reasons I don't like it, and especially because it comes after the Scarlet Witch scene, which we already talked about, and it's such a good moment because it's like you don't even need multiple. Like this is one woman is taking on and winning against one of the most powerful villain we have ever seen in this entire series,
like,
and then
the most powerful character.
And then
the entire MCU.
And then it substitutes for her just being like a stand-in alongside Captain Marvel, a much less interesting character, and all these others. And my other problem is that these characters that are just, average people are suddenly doing a lot. Like, Valkyrie takes down a Leviathan with her sword. What's up with that? Like, you know what
I mean? It's a the sword's called a Silver Fang. It's like, according like in Ragnarok, Thor was like admiring the sword because of how sharp and how powerful it is.
That's fair. It still just kind of bothers me. Like she slides it along the side of the armored area, but the armor doesn't even cut. It like falls off, like as it like on impact. It's not being like sliced. It's being knocked off when it makes contact. Which if something's sharp, it shouldn't be doing that. But that just might be a problem with the effects rather than that.
And then Okoye kills.
Coils Corvus Glaive. That pisses me off. Like I don't know. Like I said, I didn't watch Black Panther, but I don't think she has any like superhuman powers. And Corvus Glaive was like fighting with Vision.
Yeah, but Corvus Glaive beat Vision.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And he gets one shot, and he doesn't even get an attack in. He gets one shot by Okoye and her spear. Like, I have no doubt that spear could kill him, but I have a lot of doubts that she could manage to land a killing blow with, like, out of nowhere. It's not even a surprise attack. She, like, runs at him and stabs him. And yes, initially, I do it. Okay, yeah, vibranium spear. Like, I agree. I would totally believe that it could kill him. I just don't think she could. Kind of like how, if Hawkeye could wield Stormbreaker, he could kill Thanos, but it's unlikely because he's not like, fast enough or strong enough. And yeah, I understand what you're saying. Like, it would break ranks to ferry the gauntlet to safety. But here's another thing. How did they know? Like, they all just show up. She's like, it's okay, she has help. But, like, if these people were scattered all over the place, like, how would they know? They don't all have, like, communication tech like Tony does on the other Avengers. Like, some of these guys like have been dead.
Like, the Flyers would make, like Pepper, Scarlet, and Valkyrie. It makes sense for
because
them
they could see what's going on, and they could see what's going on. And you also can't say like they like use telepathy because Mantis and Scarlet Witch have both proven that to use like mind things, they need to be like Mantis has to physically touch, and and Scarlet Witch supposed to be close. So there's I don't know. It bothers me for a number of reasons, and I could get behind it if it wasn't for a couple things that bother me about it. But it's just like maybe if they hadn't used like all the female characters, just like so it was less like a big, women's thing.
Hmm.
I don't know. I just think that there's a lot more subtle ways that women play into like women's power plays into this movie. Like between Scarlet Witch, owning up to like having to lose her only family for the good of her family to live, or like we just said about Scarlet Witch. There's
Yeah.
or even in
Hmm.
the end where like Valkyrie, takes over to be the queen of the Asgardians. Like there's a lot in this movie that's not in your face. Look at us, we're women, we're getting things done. It's just like they're getting things done, but not in a way that's like it doesn't feel forced. Basically,
Hmm.
it feels natural with
Yeah.
everything else that happens. While
Yeah,
this
that's
just kind of
naturally done.
it
But
just
then,
feels forced to
like,
me.
just going past that, eventually, like, Captain Marvel gets the gauntlet. And she's like tries to fly over towards the van, which
Yes,
has the
she's
only
trying to get to
quantum
the
tunnel
quantum
left.
tunnel.
And Thanos uses his sword and
What's
just
left
like
of it?
javelin throws it and blows up the van.
Yeah,
Um, and that's when like the whole battle for the gauntlet starts going on. Where it's like it like passes hands like
yeah.
86 different times, and then eventually like Thanos puts it on, and he tries to snap, but Captain
Yeah.
Marvel stops it.
Well, hang on, real quick, because you're going too far. I wanted to address this real quick, especially commented again.
Mm.
Yeah, it's fair that the weaker characters could bunch up, but the thing is, we like they pulls out so we can see what's going on, and they really don't. They like kind of like move in a wave, but they're not really working together. And I mean, like Shuri has like her sonic glove things, whatever those are. I think they're in Black Panther, but again, I haven't seen that.
Yeah,
But
they're in the Black Panther.
yeah, but that's the like I don't even remember seeing Mantis in that scene when they all go running either. I'll have to like when it comes out on Blu-ray and I can like slow it down and watch what's happening. Maybe I'll come to a different conclusion. But from what I saw as the movie presented it, it's I just don't like it as much. I don't know. I feel like there was a better way of doing that. I wouldn't have minded if some like I said if some of them came together, but there's just some logistics that bother me about it. But yeah, in the end, it doesn't it's not harmful. It doesn't like ruin the movie.
Hmm.
Shuri's giant gloves and her stick thin arms. Yeah, so it's there. It's kind of irksome, but it's nothing that like ruins it for me.
Yeah, I don't
Unlike
think there's a
Captain Marvel,
single
like
scene
Captain Marvel
in the
really
movie.
tried at the beginning, but she didn't pull it off because luckily she went away for most of it until now. Anyway, so yeah, moving on. Yeah, now we got the gauntlet. So also, Thanos can throw his sword faster than Captain Marvel can fly.
Because
Captain
he
Marvel's
just
supposed
javelin
to
throws
Captain
it.
Marvel's supposed to be able to like be fast enough to like fly through space like at like what close to light speed,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and he beat her with a sword throw.
Yeah,
So
he
does
just
that mean
javelin throws
Thanos is
it.
that fast, or is she actually slower than we thought?
Uh,
Well, I mean, flying in atmosphere, gotta get kind of slow, or else,
Well, no,
boom.
she has her Nova thing. It doesn't matter. Like she came in on re-entry. Remember, like she flew straight in
Mhm.
through Thanos' ship. So no, that doesn't cover it. It's not happening.
That's
You
true.
know what? We need to get Matt Pat and his film theory on it. Like the time it took from Friday saying something just entered the Earth's atmosphere to when she hit the ship. Like how fast was she actually going? Get on that, Matt Pat. Do something good instead of bullshitting about Persona.
yeah, don't bullshit
Or
stuff
Undertale.
like that.
Oh yeah, no, he can definitely. Thanos is super strong. It's just a couple funny logistics. If depending on how fast she's going, I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
like Captain Marvel, so I'm looking for reasons to nitpick her.
I agree.
Okay, so
But,
moving on to the thing that solves some of my problems, at least temporarily. So yeah, we get
Yeah.
the part where he gets the gauntlet on. He has this little moment of like the power going through his arm. When
Mhm.
Captain Marvel
Yeah.
jumps in, grabs it, stops his hand from closing. So he's trying to like pull her off, and she actually pushes against him to the point where he actually,
Tries to headbutt.
yeah, he leans back, tries to headbutt. And that's actually like a really cool scene where I have to admit where he makes contact and she's just like staring at him. He's just like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah,
That's supposed
like,
to
oh,
work.
crap.
That you're supposed to like have your face smashed in. And then and then he pushes against her, and then we get the best scene in the entire movie that I love for the meme, where he grabs the Power Stone out of the gauntlet, pulls back, and wham! Just punches Captain Marvel right in her stupid face, right into the wall. And then
No,
that was the
not
moment
into
when
a
I
wall.
was cheering. No, it was like into a rock. Like she went to like a boulder or something.
No, she gets sent flying.
Well, yeah, but she went through rocks. I'm fairly certain she went through some
No,
rocks.
she gets sent flying. Just completely takes off.
It was a sucker punch with the Power Stone. I would expect it to, but that scene, I want that scene. I want it in one of those little photo frames, those frames that you can put a video into, and I want to put that video into, and I want to put it on my desk, so every morning when I wake up, I can see Captain Marvel getting punched in the face, and every day will be a good day.
And like her face, when she knows it happened, she's like, "Oh."
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, there's a really great, like, there's half a frame before she gets decked, and it's awesome. Yeah, you're right, the headbutt does work on Thor, not Captain Marvel, which is kind of weird, because, like, Thor is stronger than Captain Marvel, let's be real here.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, maybe it's because she has, like, that energy thingy she can do, I don't know. I don't know Captain Marvel, like her power set, I don't know quite as well. I know she's extremely powerful compared to a lot of the other Marvel Universe, so I think it's possible she, like, has her defense thingy or whatever. But
Like
I
a
just
shield.
kind of know her. Yeah, I just kind of know her character, but I'm not totally well known on her. But yeah, that punch knocks her out of the fight completely. Thank God. But of course, there's not a lot of
Yay.
fight left, and unfortunately, doesn't knock her completely out of the movie. She does show up one more time after this. So now we get to like the true like final scene where the gauntlet is like he puts the last stone back in. There's a really good point of detail where even Thanos' hand is actually burning up from holding the Power Stone,
Yeah.
which is really cool because some people complained saying like, well, such and such held an Infinity Stone and they like weren't disintegrating. That's because it's the Power Stone specifically. It's the Power Stone.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
power to try and hold in one hand for anybody, even Thanos,
Got
which is
the power.
yeah, it's I think it makes a lot of sense. Anyway, it makes sense to me at least. So then we get the end part. Where,
Yeah, like he tries to snap again, and Tony like stops him, and
yeah, he
there's
like
a
grabs on.
there's a quick little like kerfuffle.
Yeah, well, he's like
and-
trying to pull on it, and then Thanos like knocks him off, and he like pulls the gauntlet back on. He goes like, "I am inevitable," and he snaps. It's just like a clink. So that's
Yeah,
that's what the snap actually sounds like. It's like a metallic clink, and he like looks, and that's the moment where, and then it pans over to Tony, and you just see all the stones in his right hand, and the crowd went insane, just as insane as when Cap got Mjolnir. And then you see, and what's crazy is Iron Man gets over the power faster than Hulk did, which I think is in part because he's wearing the suit, so it's probably like helping some of the blowback from the power.
Yeah.
And then we just get and I am Iron Man.
And just snaps.
Yeah, and then we just get that extended sequence of everything disintegrating. Like the Leviathan's going
Yeah,
for
like
Rocket.
he
just
saved Rocket's
disintegrates.
life because
Yeah.
Rocket would have been eaten.
Rocket would have been dead.
Rocket was going to be.
Rocket
eaten
would have
by
been
Leviathan.
roadkill.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Thanos
then
is just looking.
yeah, and then Thanos is just like, I'm like, Tony did that on purpose, just like kill everyone, but Thanos last.
Yeah.
So he's like watching. We get Ebony Maw doing a "I don't feel so good, Mr. Thanos" before he disintegrates, and just like everyone that's left is just disappearing. Even I think even one of the dropships disappears. Now I think about
The
it.
ship disappears.
Yeah, like everything goes away, and then he like sits down, kind of like how the Infinity War ended, and then he disappears, and there's just like this awesome moment where it just like kind of lingers for a second, and then we get to the part where I have cried literally every time, all 4 times I've watched this movie, where
Iron Man died.
Iron Man, yeah, he like falls against a rock, and he's clearly gonna die. There's like no coming back from what he just did. He's like
And
fucked
it was
himself
sad
over.
to see Peter just.
Yeah, like
just-
so Rhodey gets to him first, and he like kind of knows what's going on, and then Peter shows up. He's just like, "We did it, Mr. Stark. We won.
We won.
It's alright. I'm sorry." Oh god, and just him apologizing made me feel so bad. And then of course Pepper shows up, and that's when it gets like even worse when like Friday is, like says vital signs are critical, and
Mhm.
then she's like, "It's okay, you can rest now." That's like the
It's like
point where I just started crying.
the best callback of the movie, where like when they're in the cabin
Yeah,
and he's like,
yeah.
he's like, I'll rest
I can
when
put
you're
it.
safe. He's
Well,
like, I'll rest when you're safe. And then at the end, she's like, we're safe now. You can
That scene
rest.
is
and
just
also
hard
like
for me to.
also at the beginning where he said I could just put a pin in it, line the box, leave it at the bottom of the lake, and go to bed. And then she says, "But would you be able to rest?"
Hmm.
So there's that too. It's kind of like a double callback. Anyway, yeah. So that happens, and then you just see the arc reactor go out, and at that point, it was like quiet sobs in the theater.
Yeah.
Like there was like a gasp, and you could hear people audibly crying. Like it wasn't silent, and I was definitely crying at this point. Though it was just kind of like tears are coming down my face, but I wasn't like doing the gasping or anything yet, so it wasn't
Hmm.
audible quite yet. And then it cuts to the funeral, and that's when just like everything comes at you at once, because they've got the even Tony Stark has a heart on the
Yeah.
wreath,
The
and
original
that's the
arc
point where
reactor.
I started sobbing. I was uncontrollable at that point. I was barely keeping my eyes open to watch the movie at that point, and you
Hmm.
just
Yeah.
see everyone important and Captain Marvel at the funeral. Uh,
Even the
Yeah.
kid from
yes,
Iron Man
you
3
know
was
when
there.
I first saw that, I was like, "Who the fuck is this kid?" Like I don't know who it was, but it was the kid from like not the same actor, obviously, but it
No, it
was
was.
From Iron Man 3?
I think it was the same. And no,
no, because that kid
no,
was
it
in
was different.
Jurassic World like
Hmm.
like 4 years ago. That was not the same kid. I don't think so anyway.
No,
I'm pretty sure it's not. But what is that kid's name? I just totally blanked on it.
I don't
What is
even
that
know.
name?
Why? What is his name?
Can't.
Yeah, but that was the big one. I could not remember the first time. I didn't know who it was the first time. I was totally confused. But then I found out like after I'd seen it. Oh, that's who that is.
Hmm.
Um, so it wasn't. Oh, shut up, phone. I'm googling that kid's name now. Iron Man 3 kid name Harley. His name was Harley.
Yeah, the Iron Man 3. Yeah.
Yeah, his name's Harley. Yeah, so you see him there. You see, like the whole of the Pym family. You see all of the Bartons are there.
Hmm.
Just
The
and
Wakandans.
yeah.
Like,
Also, it hurts. It hurts really bad because it goes over. It starts off with Pepper and Morgan, which makes you just feel all kinds of sad too. And then you see like Tony, or no, Tony's dead. Cat. You see Steve. I keep mixing up Steve and Tony in my head for some reason. The names at least.
hmm.
You see Steve. Uh,
Yeah.
all the other Avengers, and then it also feels bad when you go over to Fury when Fury's
Yeah.
there, and
Yeah.
then after that it goes to the scene where Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch are talking. And Hawkeye says, "I wish somebody could tell him." And then Scarlet Witch says, "I think they both know." And what's funny is some idiot I saw on YouTube was like, and this is it's like saying like things you might have missed, or those like those Easter eggs you probably missed in Infinity and
Hmm.
Endgame, just
But
like
are
Yeah.
obvious, super obvious.
yeah, and it's like yeah, it looks so they're calling back to both Black Widow and Gamora who were in the soul who were sacrificed the soul. So I'm like, no, you dumbass! It's to freaking Black Widow and Vision because neither of them can come back
Hmm.
Yeah.
because the Mind Stone was destroyed. They can't remake
But
Vision without it.
I think before that actually, it was um, it was the scene where Happy and Morgan
Oh
are in
God,
the
don't get me started on that shit.
yeah, and it's like
What?
so like what are you hungry? And she's like yeah. And he's like
What
what
do
do
you
you want? And
want?
she's like cheeseburger.
Cheeseburgers? No, your dad liked
Dude,
cheeseburgers. God, yeah, that there's like every like few
that.
minutes I got another reason to start crying again. And then yes, like after it's just because that's John Favreau, who directed the original Iron Man,
Hmm.
which is some
Like
serious shit.
he's also like the one that started it. Like
Well, they,
if it wasn't for the fact that he made an amazing film,
yeah,
the MCU wouldn't have been a thing.
yeah. And this is I mean, it's possible that Vision could come back, but probably not because they didn't finish separating himself from the Mind Stone, which means like his like his whole like being was still tied to the Mind Stone
Hmm.
when it got like forcibly removed from his body, and his body like turned to like darkness. Like he is he's a machine. He doesn't have a soul. So they
Yeah.
can't like bring him back to life because his like whole neural cortex thing was tied to the Mind Stone. So technically speaking, probably can't, especially because Jarvis was put into that. So unless Tony had Jarvis backed up somewhere, and if he did, why wouldn't he use him as his AI instead of Friday still? So
Yeah.
I find it extremely unlikely Vision will ever come back, and I don't really have a problem with that. I think Vision more or less served his purpose in the series.
Purpose.
Yeah.
You would think in those 5 years they would have tried.
Oh yeah, if they could have rebuilt it, Tony probably tried. If it was possible, then even without the Mind Stone, he would have been able to pull it off. And then, so we've got the funeral, we've got them talking, and then after that we get the part of the journey is the end speech,
Yeah.
where it's kind of like showing, or was the journey? I actually forget if the speech was before the funeral or after.
If it was what?
I think it was after, because then they're like inside the cabin listening to it.
No, it was. Oh no, yeah. It was before. It was before the funeral. They're doing. They're like listening to his speech that he made before the
Yeah,
finals.
which kept me crying even more. But it's such good. It's like one of the best like deliveries from Robert Downey in the movie.
Mhm.
Like with this whole speech, and it's like barely 3 minutes long, and it's so good. And you've got the backdrop of like everything, like that's fixed now. Like
Mhm.
Peter going back to school, and like Wakanda not being destroyed or whatever, and
Yeah,
everything like that.
like everybody's celebrating.
Yeah, yeah. I get the idea that Vision could come back initially, but like if he came back more machine than having his personality, what would be the point, like that was kind of the whole point of Vision, is he actually, even though he was a machine, he had a character because he was mixed with Jarvis and Ultron and the Mind Stone, so it's like a lot to him. So if he came back as like just a robot, it wouldn't matter, it wouldn't mean anything to Scarlet Witch, it wouldn't mean anything to the audience, because it's just, hey, he's back, but he's not really, because it's not really Vision, it's just a robot that looks like him. It's like if they brought Ultron back but without the guy that voicing him. It's like it wouldn't be the same.
Yeah,
It's
he's
just
dead.
yeah, robot. The Ultron's dead. Yeah.
But his voice actor's also dead.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
When did that happen?
like 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 2 years after the movie came out.
No fucking way.
Yeah,
No, hang on. I'm googling again.
Wait.
like I think it's
But-
Bill Spader. I think is his
James
name.
Spader is his
James
name.
Spader. Yeah, he's dead.
I'm not believing you until I see it on Wikipedia. James Spader. I cannot believe. I like just watched him in The Office too. I cannot believe this dude's dead. He is not dead. You are so full of shit.
Is he not dead?
He is not dead.
Yeah, bullshit.
He was born in 1960, but he is not dead. I don't know who you heard, but there's unless Wikipedia has something different to tell me.
I
No,
thought he did die.
he is alive. He is not dead.
Oh,
He's
Nope.
59. He is not. I was like, there's no way James Spader could be dead, and I wouldn't know it.
I thought he was dead.
No, he is not dead. Now you're just looking it up yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
no,
swear, I
no.
thought he was dead.
I don't know where you heard that, but that man is not dead.
Dead.
But anyway, so yeah, so we get the speech, and then we get to like, so first we get the scene where Cap is going to take back the stones, and Mjolnir, because obviously Thor still needs that. and,
He's
and-
still wondering like, where the fuck's my hammer?
Yeah, where's my hammer? I need it. I'm the god of hammers. Yeah, so we've got all that. So he goes back and there's this moment where he and Bucky say goodbye, and that's a little telling because Bucky says, "I'm gonna miss you," but we know he's gonna go and come right back. Like that's the whole point.
Mhm.
So because he says, "I'll miss you," it's like it means there's something going on because no one knows Cap better than Bucky does.
Yeah,
So you
like,
know
not even,
something's
not even Falcon.
yeah, well, he hasn't known Falcon for nearly as long, and Falcon's been dead for 5 years. As has Bucky,
Yeah.
but he knew Bucky like since they were kids.
Yeah.
So you know something's about to go down, and then he goes back in time again, and doesn't come back, And at this point, it's like a really honestly really confusing. But they like Bucky looks up and he sees there's Steve on the bench, and they walk up and he's like 90 something because he said he tried that life that Tony was always telling him he should get. So he
Mm-hmm.
returned the stones and the hammer, and then went back to Peggy in the past, which opens up a whole new realm of questions. Like, was he in this? He could have been in the same timeline, because that would have messed
Yeah.
everything up to that point. Because maybe it wouldn't have for him, his self, but everyone else in the timeline would have seen a change. Which means, did he? And then the other question is, if he went to an alternate, if he created an alternate timeline
How did
by
he get back?
going back. Well, yeah, exactly. Like, if he was in an alternate timeline and he clearly didn't have, like, the the wristwatch thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, the serum does slow his aging down, but you gotta figure, like even like most World War II veterans, like nowadays, and hell, it's actually like nowadays in 5 years. So
Yeah.
it makes sense that he looks as old as he does. It does slow it down, but it doesn't make him immortal. I mean, we don't really see, like, we only see like a small snippet of time pass for him. It's only like 7 years or so that we see him active.
Yeah, but like still,
But no, I'm not
how
talking
did
about
he
the
get back?
age. I'm not talking about the
How did
aging
he get
thing.
back
Yeah,
to his timeline?
yeah. That's the big
To our
question.
timeline?
Like, how did that happen? Because it shouldn't have been away.
So
And
what I
how did he get an undestroyed shield?
hmm?
Yeah.
How did he get an
That's another
undestroyed shield? Because he didn't go back to the past with his shield, but his
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
shield went into the ice with him in the past.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's like there's so many questions. Just like, did he create an alternate timeline, or did he live in such a way that he couldn't have? But you figure there's no way Captain America could have like stood by at any point when people needed help and
Yeah.
like not done anything just for the sake of not messing up the timeline. So
Of him being Captain America.
yeah, so there's so many questions I have, and at first I didn't care because I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't thinking about that when I first saw it. I just thought about the emotional impact of, wow, I don't want to live in a world without Captain America. And then Falcon gets the shield instead of Bucky, and I call bullshit on that. But
Yeah, that was a bunch of
Falcon's
bull.
not, I mean, I know he gets like they both have had turns being Captain America in the comics. I'm aware of
Mm-hmm.
that, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Bucky's already the Winter Soldier.
but he is also a super soldier. Falcon is not. He's a dude with
Yeah.
wings. I understand. Like
Yeah.
like I said, I know he gets it in the comics, but from a pure like logical standpoint, like I guess his contract's gonna run out the same time as Bucky's does because they're in the same movie when they started.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Bucky is already a super soldier, so he'd be able to use it more effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Well, yeah, even if Cap knew that everything was taken care of, like something goes down, like even locally where he is, he'd do something to stop it. I don't know. There's a lot of confusion, and I don't know if the Russo brothers have like
What I
explained,
think
like they've
happened,
explained some stuff that people couldn't figure out, but
what I think is that he like returned all the stones, but he returned the times, or he either had an extra vial of pin particles,
Yeah.
or he returned the time stone last. Like he kept the time stone and eventually gave it back, but like
Wouldn't it
used
make-
it also.
oh, I see what you're saying. Wouldn't it make more sense if he just deposited the Tesseract last? Also, how did they put it back in the Tesseract? I guess Thor probably did that, but
Mhm.
I mean, but that case wasn't big enough for it. Didn't show, whatever. Let's just assume Thor put it back in the cube. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, he did have the extra. That's true. He did have the extra pin particles to get home. But also, it's like if he'd like left off at the space stone, he would have been in the right timeline. So,
Mhm.
I
I'm
don't
pretty
know.
sure. I'm pretty sure he used the like uh the space stone last, and then brought himself to the past, and then just like lived his life.
Yeah, well, it's true. He had enough, to do all his trips and to get home. So he probably just used that get home to go back. That's a good point.
Hmm.
But yeah, it still doesn't explain timeline bullshit that happened on. And my other problem is I can't decide whether I like that as an ending for Captain America or not. Like, because up to
Yeah,
this
that one
point,
is
I,
just.
I, I don't mind him being taken out because I prefer this to like he and Tony both dying. I like this in
Mhm.
a term of like it definitely gives closure to. Uh, well, how did they return the Soul Stone? I mean, that's another question. Is like how did he return the Soul Stone? I'm assuming like if he brought it back to where he found it, maybe it's like still there.
Just puts it at the bottom of the cliff.
Well,
Just
like
like,
you figure if you bring it back to the moment it was, but Hawkeye's no longer there to have it, Captain earn it, so maybe it would just disappear
mhm,
and go back into wherever it rests within Vormir.
mhm.
So that's what I'm guessing at least. But it's just part of me likes it that it's a solid ending for Cap's character. Um, so yeah, they got it from Vormir. So I just but also part of me like it seems so much like Cap was settling in to modern life. Like in Winter Soldier we see him adjusting to modern times. That's kind of like a portion of it. And then of course we also had that funny conversation that he's gonna have to have where he's like, yeah, I kind of kissed your niece in the future. And it just because it seemed like that was like a viable option. Like
Mhm.
it's not Peggy, but it always seemed like he was actually moving on. Like he had they I feel like they brought that back, like him being caught up in his past in this movie because it seemed like he was so well beyond his past at this point. Because
Mhm.
we had the first one where we see what he goes through, his trials, and then Avengers, he's out fighting the good fight. We see him kind of living semi-normal life as a Shield agent, Winter Soldier, and then in Civil War, he's just kind of a full time
He's
Avenger.
just
Well,
like
no,
a
no, Age of
fugitive.
Ultron. There's Age of Ultron, where we don't see a lot of him just living in Age of Ultron because it's mostly him doing runs for Shield. But
Mhm.
then we get Civil War, where we see kind of more of his also just him living, in
Yeah.
the modern world, adjusted. But he is in those movies. It's never like God, I miss Peggy.
Mhm.
It's never he never dwells on his past like after like the first movie. He doesn't even really in Avengers much. Like he's still doing some things that are kind of old timey. But by Winter Soldier, he's had time to adjust and he's got that list of new shit and just learning about the world.
Mhm.
It just seems like he's really well adjusted and there was no reason to send him back other than the fact that his contract was up and we needed some way to retire Captain America, in this case by putting him way past retirement age. I don't know. I feel like no. I feel like I would have rathered if he had just retired some way, like they somehow talked him into being not being an Avenger. I don't know. Like I said, I like it from a standpoint of it's a solid way to end his character, but there's also my conflict with I feel like it was the opposite direction of where his character had been going up until this film. It's just they didn't ever address it. Like
Mhm.
after the end of his movie and a little bit in Avengers, like him his past and Peggy, like he sees like this, like Peggy dies in Winter Soldier, and to me that was like he got to meet her again before he died, and for me that was like the closure of that right then and there. It was like he is no longer like there's nothing left for him there.
No, she dies in Civil War.
She dies in Civil War.
Yeah,
I could have
because
sworn it was Winter Soldier.
he's attending the funeral when the bombing happened.
Well, I know they were attending the funeral, but I don't know because
Or no, the bombing happened after because he's in the funeral and he's like chaperone, like carrying the casket,
yeah,
and then Nat is there with him, and then she's like, "I'm gonna go sign the accords," yada yada yada. Goes to the
yeah.
accords, gets bombed.
Yeah, okay, maybe you're right. I really remember. I mean, I've only seen both movies once, but I could have
Hmm.
sworn that he met her again in. I think he like met her again in Winter Soldier, and then she died in Civil War.
Yeah,
I
in
think
Winter
that's how it
Soldier
was,
is
because I
when
know he
he's
met her.
yeah, in Winter Soldier she's like in the hospital,
Yeah, 'cause she's like
and he's talking to her, and he's
extremely old. I felt like that was like kind of like the closing point for like that
hmm
whole like I don't know plot thread. and then and then it's her funeral, and it's clear like he has this relationship that's kind of hinted at in or started really in Winter Soldier, and then continues in Civil War. And I love that scene when he kisses Aaron, and then he just look back and it's Bucky and Falcon just nodding.
Just nodding like,
It's
yep.
great. But yeah,
You
I
got
don't
you
know.
got the bro approval. So
Yeah,
you're
I
good.
mean, yeah, they had to end it some way. It just feels kind of off from where the movies have been putting Cap up to this point. And they hint at because the beginning they said a lot of people move on, but not us. But
Mhm.
it's like that kind of seems more from a we're still trying to fix this kind of aspect, not like a God I miss the 50s or
Mhm.
40s. It was the 40s. Like, God I miss the 40s. Well, it is what it is. It's decent enough ending. It's just confusing as hell.
Yeah. 'Cause when you start thinking about it, it's like, wait, hold on a minute.
Why I'm at. Yeah,
But I still think it's a decent ending for both of them. Like a good callback to the Avengers, where uh, Steve was telling Tony, it's like, you're not the person that would lay down on the wire to
or
have the other
another person.
person
Yeah,
call,
yeah, I
but
was
like
gonna bring
lay
that
down
up.
your life, for it, and then eventually, like, he does.
And then
And
also when Tony says the only thing everything special about you came out of a bottle, and Cap wheels Mjolnir.
mhm.
Like it's a really good like callback to Avengers, and a really good like kind of like solution to like both of those like threads.
Yeah, to that conversation in particular, like, this movie like proved that both men were wrong
Mm-hmm.
about each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's really good for that too.
Mm-hmm.
Just yeah,
'Cause
and then
not only does Steve shows that it's not just the serum, it's him too, and then Tony proves that he's willing to like sacrifice his life to like
yeah,
save the world.
yeah, and I guess that actually was the final scene was Cap coming back as an old man because the I just remember the Asgard. I forgot like the Asgardians of the Galaxy part happens before that, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, where Thor hands off like royal title to Valkyrie because I guess you can just do that. You don't need to be royalty in Asgard. You just have to you can do it. You know what I want is I want like Thor to be it's like they need a leader, and then I want like 2011 Loki to appear from the space. I was like, I'll do it, brother. And Loki just takes over. I would love to see that. I also would love for Loki to not be dead, but he's still dead.
He's alive, technically.
In an alternate timeline, I want like our Loki back because that Loki hasn't had the development of a Dark World or Ragnarok. He's still it's like
Evil
humans
Loki.
must be ruled. Loki. He's not.
Mhm.
He's not like fun. Like he's evil. He's fun evil Loki, not like fun chaotic neutral Loki.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah. So
Well,
I'm still sad he's not back.
by the end of Ragnarok, I think he's chaotic good.
I'd still say chaotic neutral because he's still very much an opportunist.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, yeah, I don't know. We still don't know what he's up to. The only reason he left is because of that too. Yeah, yeah, that's what I figured that Loki's going to be in the series. That I mean, it's alternate continuity, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with an alternate continuity Loki that's still Avengers evil. So I don't know. I'm kind of interested, but then again, Disney's probably going to charge exorbitant pricing for that fucking streaming service. So we'll see what happens.
And I'll just watch it on Showbox.
Watch all your Marvel movies on Netflix now, kids, because they're going to be gone in a few months' time. Or anything Disney related, for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Thor decides to be who he wants to be, goes off with Rocket and the other Guardians, except for Gamora, because she went somewhere. But Nebula's still here for some reason. But like Gamora went off somewhere, and Quill's trying to find her. That's probably gonna be a plot of Guardians 3. But the good thing is like since Thor's joining the Guardians, that means we get Thor and Guardians 3, right?
Yep.
Better.
The Asgardians of the
As
universe.
Guardians of the Galaxy again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love the moment where it's just like where he like where to, and he like they had like that back and forth the map.
It's like, but I'm
It's like
the,
everyone,
I'm the captain.
just
Yes,
like
of course,
I
of
go,
course.
yes, of course. Well, see, you
Yes.
say that I'm the captain, but then you change my map. Just like, one of you two should fight to decide leadership. I got some guns unless you want to use knives. Oh yes, use knives. And then they just start laughing. It's like, oh, there will be no stabbing today. We all know who's in charge. It's
Me.
me. By the way, in case you get that. Oh
Yes, of
you. Yeah,
course.
of course.
Just like, I'm gonna murder you in your
Oh
sleep.
boy, I honestly do hope that Quill stays in charge because I don't want Thor in charge of the Guardians. Like that's Quill should be doing that.
Mhm.
That's his thing.
Yeah.
It's one of his few things he has. I mean, both
And
his
then-
parents are dead.
And then technically, this isn't the end of Phase 3. The end of Phase 3 is Far From Home.
Far From Home, yeah. But yeah, so then we get after that Cap coming back old, and then the ending is him dancing with Peggy in a house. They finally got the dance, yay! Also, it just makes sense, but yay! And then we cut to like the credits where we're showing like the characters and their actors.
And then like their signature.
Well, no, not until you got to the original 6. When you got to the original 6, yeah, they never listened to Quill anyway. That's kind of like part of their charm. But when we got to the original 6, that's when they started doing the signatures, and that's when everyone started going apeshit. Because like, and you better believe that when Robert Downey Jr. showed up on that screen, everyone lost their collective minds. It was like standing ovation. Like I've heard people like get mocked for clapping at a movie theater. I heard a lot of people just like, well, I went to see Avengers Endgame and found out my boyfriend's a clapper, so that's unfortunate. I was like, what's wrong with clapping at a movie, especially opening night? Like, I can understand if it's like, 3 weeks in and you're clapping, but like opening night, like come on.
Endgame?
It's like, what are you supposed to do? Like, how else do you show like how awesome that was? You clap, man. That's what you do when you see something awesome or sarcastic. You clap.
It's no joke to say that some people literally grew up on these movies.
I mean, yeah, like we were like about 14 when they started, and now we're all 21.
For a lot of people, for almost an entire generation of people, this was their childhood.
Well, teenage should for some of us, but yeah. Well, I don't know. It depends if your parents are gonna let you watch PG-13 or not. But yeah, I mean, I really grew up on a lot of these movies. I can remember seeing specifically with my dad a lot of these movies. Like when I went with my dad to see Captain America, Age of Ultron, the first Avengers movie. I saw Endgame with him, like for the 4th time I saw Endgame. I went with him. So yeah, this is kind of like a thing for my dad and I, as we do a lot of like the Marvel movies together. And it's also why, honestly, like Tony Stark's death is hard for me, is I kind of associate Tony Stark with my dad a lot because they're kind of similar. Not really in looks, but in kind of how they act, kind of similar. But I bought my dad like the Mark 50 arc reactor for Christmas because we had one at the shop. It's like a big magnetic thing you can put in your shirt. Fortunately, I couldn't talk him into wearing it when we went to go see the movie. But yeah, so I have a lot of really good memories with a lot of the Marvel movies from the MCU specifically. Just watching in different places and different people. So it's not just about the movies; it's about the friends we made along the way.
And for a lot of people, like this is their last MCU movie.
I mean, Far From Home, like you said, Far From Home is gonna be the wrap up, and I'm kind of concerned what's gonna happen with that. I'm definitely looking forward to it now. Ever since we got that trailer about like the updated spoiler trailer where we talked about it's after Iron Man dies, and Peter's having to deal with the fallout of that. I'm just worried what this multiverse shit is gonna do, because the last thing I want is like, oh, here's a different Iron Man. Oh, here's a different Captain. Like we already have Falcon's gonna be the different Captain America, but in a good way. Excuse me, a good way. But I'm worried, just like, yeah, here's Iron Man from Earth 53 or whatever.
I honestly,
he's Mexican.
I don't want them to introduce Riri, which is the
dear God, no! I am quitting the MCU if they bring Ironheart into this. I think make Morgan Ironheart.
Yeah, if anything, Morgan should be Ironheart, but I think that the best replacement for Iron Man is Spider-Man.
They're kind of talking about that. And sorry, go ahead.
they already made him like Tony Stark Jr.
Like protege, yeah.
Hmm.
His ward. Yeah, and in the new movie, it looks like the new suit, the black one, is actually made by Peter. So it makes me
Hmm.
wonder, is something gonna happen to the Iron Spider suit, or is he just trying to do his own thing? Like I'm assuming it's
Hmm.
gonna be the latter, because if that Iron
Mm.
Spider suit breaks, I'm gonna be really upset because no one can fix it now.
Yeah. Well, maybe the Wakandans.
Maybe, dude, are they gonna like auction off the Hall of Armor now? Like, cause you
Mm.
if Iron Man if Tony made 35 suits or 34 if you don't include um the Mark 85 or the
Hmm.
rescue suit, like what are they gonna do with all those? That's
Well,
what I
didn't
want
they
to know.
give?
It's like, are they just gonna divvy them up with all the Avengers? All right, Hulk gets the Mark 43. Thor,
Mm.
you get, or no, not Mark 43. It's after 50. It's like Hulk, you get the Mark 63.
Yeah.
Hey, Cap, you want a suit? We can get you in the Avengers again. It's just
Mm.
like a new Iron Patriot suit.
Like
It's like,
Banner gets the Hulk Buster.
yeah, the Hulk Buster. It's like, oh, hey, Barton, we got the Mark 83 for you. I don't know why I keep going to threes. Uh,
Hmm.
hey, Lang, he made a shrinking one. Mark 76. How about you? I just can't help but think about shit like this. Like, what are they doing with all the other? Like, I'm assuming all the other armors are also based on nanotech. So
Hmm.
it's just like he just has a ton of reactors on a wall in his garage.
If anything, it'd probably be better in a museum.
Maybe, but that's a lot of suits.
Hmm.
And I feel like if you put them in a museum, that's asking for them to get stolen.
Yeah. Or like Shield has them,
But Shield isn't a thing.
or the Avengers,
Yeah,
the
then
what's left of them.
the new Avengers,
Hmm.
whatever. Yeah, I feel like, oh, where's mine? I want a suit. Thor, you're like the strongest one here. Yes, but I don't have a suit. And then Rocket's
That
just
would,
like, though I don't think any of those will even fit you.
I honestly I feel like that would be his response. I am, but I still want a suit.
Yes, I am the strongest Avenger. Not that Stark ever recognized it, but yes, I would still like a suit, thank you. One that I can still hold my axe with. Do you have one that just has those little thingies that Stark has another one that I can use to shoot giant lasers with my lightning? Is that just kind of roundabout way of using your lightning? Yes, but it's cooler. It's a laser. Ooh, not like my lightning, which is just it's different.
That is totally something he would say.
I love doing I love doing that impression. Um, yeah, that I mean now we're going into the future and shit.
Hmm.
I think I mean that pretty much wraps the movie. I mean we've been here for longer than the movie went for,
Yeah.
so by a good
Pretty much.
18 minutes so far. Uh, what like any like final thoughts like wrapping things up? What you thought of the movie overall? Want to take turns?
I think it served the 32 movies that came before it pretty well, to be honest. A lot of stories got like a nice, neat conclusion.
Hmm.
Um, all the deaths didn't feel like, um,
Like they weren't earned.
yeah, like they weren't earned. I feel like Nad's death, um, like her complete story came and to an ending because she always wanted to do something that mattered. She always wanted to be a part of something that actually mattered, and I think honestly, I feel like that's why took control of the Avengers,
Hmm.
like um, after during the skip. I feel like that's why she took control of the Avengers because she wanted to do something that mattered, and dying to get the Soul Stone um, was really something that mattered, and I feel like that was a good conclusion to her story. And then everybody else's, like we were talking about, like Tony and Captain, their story also just come to a very good end. Um, Nothing seemed forced for their endings.
Hmm.
Thor's journey of being a arrogant Shakespearean just prick
Shakespeare in the
to
Park.
yeah, to like just
Hmm.
being humbled by seeing his planet get destroyed, and his the hammer also destroyed. Like how in Infinity War he said, uh, like um, I have lost everything. Um, I'm going to win because fate wills it so. And then Rocket's like, well, what have you done? It's like, well, I already lost everything. What more can I lose?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that. Like he redeemed himself by uh, like just proving that he was like worthy to be king, but that's not what he wanted to do. And he finally found something that he wants to do, which is be a hero. And then with Barton, like he got his family back, um, and whatnot. With Hulk and Banner, I feel like their conflict of like who gets control, um, like who's control of the body, who's control, like yeah, and like with the creation of Professor Hulk, Banner now finally has that confidence that like um, to like stand up for himself because now he knows that if he gets in a conflict, like you said, the Hulk isn't just gonna bust out. Now he can actually defend himself, and he has the he's like finally confident um, about everything. And let's see who's left. It's kind of it. Um,
I mean, as far as important characters go, it's like most
mhm.
everybody. Falcon
And
being weird.
Thanos,
Yeah.
Cap's kind of good.
and Thanos too.
Yep.
Um, like his journey.
His journey
'Cause-
ends, then begins again, and then ends
yeah,
again.
because for all intents and purposes, he was the protagonist of Infinity War.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot.
Because like being the protagonist doesn't mean that you're the hero. It means that you're
Yeah.
the focus of the story,
Mm-hmm.
and he was the focus of the story. Um,
Everything did revolve around him in Infinity War.
hmm and I think his whole story in Infinity War was like uh, a closed circuit in Infinity War and allowed his story in Endgame to be its own separate thing that didn't rely on his story in Infinity War,
Mm-hmm.
which is also very cool. Um, and overall, just like a pretty good way to um, to bring a close to all of that. And yeah, and Endgame should have been the end of Phase 3. Um, but you know, it's whatever. If Far From Home can do it, uh, can like actually bring a close to all of I'm pretty sure it will.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but to everything that came before it, it was just like a nice just close.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel.
What about you, Adam?
Oh, the movie?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was really good and how it ended out, and it turned out to be a good one. Personally, it is sad though to see all the half of the original Avengers just gone, and then of course about the ending with Tony Stark just died, which is probably
Whoa,
the most
Adam! Spoiler
depressing thing.
alert! Jeez, drop a warning first.
Well,
Why
we
don't
already
you?
spoiled enough already.
Whoa, hang on. We haven't spoiled anything. What are you talking about? Have you been listening this whole time?
Yes.
We haven't said like anything spoiler related at all, and you just like gave away that Iron Man dies. It's kind of fucked up. I'm just messing with you.
No comment.
No comment. Nah, I'm just messing with you. Yeah, we've been fucking ourselves around this whole
Yeah.
time. Uh, yeah. So you thought it was pretty damn good, though, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Chava, you kind of like summed everything else up in like 30 minutes, but yeah. I mean, as far as all the character arcs go, pretty solid ending, except for Cap, because I'm kind of iffy on that. I like Tony specifically because the whole reason he kind of lost it after the Avengers was because of Thanos. So now that
Yeah.
he has been the one to like take Thanos out, like it was like a perfect moment for his story to come to an end because it was like the thing that really like once we started getting like the shared universe aspect when Avengers started, that was like what really kicked off a lot of his
Mm-hmm.
like his reason for being around. Like it became like he wanted to protect people from what was up there because that's the end game. And then the end game came a knocking, and end game kind of killed half the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So but now he had a chance to take it all back, and he had like a really good, like a lot of characters had a really good reversal due to the effect of that 5 years. So they still had their character from previous movies, yet this movie actually changed them a significant amount. That it was interesting to see them either develop back into what they were or something better, like in the case of Thor. And then cause we got really solid character from Hawkeye in this movie because at the start he's like his usual self. Like nothing's really changed. He has not like Civil War didn't change him. He's just been doing his thing, stuck at home. But then the snap happens and he takes like a really negative change to his character, and we see that turn around like not immediately, but as he has a chance to try and fix things, and he gives it all he's got, even though it meant he had to lose his best friend in the whole world,
Mm-hmm.
and then he comes back to basically what he was before. And then like I said, Natasha gets a pretty good ending. There are plenty of characters that just kind of show up and more or less stick to them like how they were, like Scott, um, or War Machine. The characters that were there because they were in previous films and they needed to serve a purpose, but didn't get a lot of real development. But of course, their character was still strong enough as it was that we didn't really need it. This was really more of the story of the original Avengers and
Mm-hmm.
how they changed throughout the series and also in this movie specifically. And it was just really powerful. Like I said earlier, these movies have always been as much a character drama as they have been action for the most part, and they've done such a good job with creating these characters over the years. I think it's a really just way to, yeah, really good way to cap it off, no pun intended. And yeah, I kind of agree. I wish this was just the end, like not just like of Phase 3, but like of the MCU, because I don't think anything will ever top Portals ever. Like we are never going to get a scene like that again in terms of like not only cultural impact, but just in pure, in the pure what's the word I'm looking for, like span. It's not quite the right word, but just impact even. It's just because we see all these and you're visiting it now. All these characters, like literally all of them. Like we had the core cast here. You're
Mm-hmm.
really loud again.
Oh.
Fans, I think there you go. So like, because it focused on the core cast, but then we see everyone come back during the portal sequence, and it just all culminates in like this big thing that like even if they weren't originally building to this, it feels like everything had built to it the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And that one in all in the last act, everything comes together more or less. And I don't think we're ever going to be able to top this. Like there are whispers of Galactus and things like that. The X-Men may be coming into play now that Disney has their hands on them. Maybe even the Fantastic Four. But I don't see how they'll ever be able to do this again, ever. That's why I think going
Yeah.
opening night, I'm so glad I was able to go because that was seriously a once in a lifetime thing to see this movie like for the first time with everyone else.
Well, I mean, the universe it created, um, like if the three phases of the Marvel MCU was a once in a lifetime thing. Because I don't
Mm-hmm.
think any shared movie universe is going to have the impact that the MCU had.
Well,
Like, sure,
yeah,
it's not the first one to do it,
but it's
but
certainly the most
it's
impactful.
yeah.
Like I couldn't tell you any other like shared universe to this scope that I know of. Like DC tried and horribly failed, but even like before Avengers, like I or the Marvel and like Marvel Cinematic Universe, I the cinematic universe thing has been coined because of these movies. Like this
Hmm.
was never a thing. Like there were like sequels, like you got sequel movies that of course they're all in the same thing, but never like all this worlds colliding type deal. It's like as far as I know, it's something like this has never been attempted, and certainly if it has been, it was never to this scope.
Hmm.
Like,
Like the only one I can compare it to is the like the Godzilla shared universe. Like that is the only real cultural impact rival that the MCU has.
Well, if you're talking about like, are you talking like original Toho?
Yeah, like the
Yeah, yeah.
original Toho movies, like
Okay, that I can
Showa Heisei
understand.
Millennium.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like that's the only one that kind of rivals the impact of the MCU.
I'd say Showa Heisei more specifically because Millennium was mostly just
Hmm.
Toho, but like the earlier movies did have stuff like that King Kong that's not actually King Kong, and then it's got other things that came from other kaiju movies, but it wasn't really like the MCU where they all had their own stories. It's just like, here's a squid monster. It was in another movie where it destroyed a city, and now it's here to fight Godzilla, but there was like no motivation, there was no story to it. It was just there.
Hmm.
It's not like at the end of like Monster X or whatever movie Gazora is from. It was like you see Gazora like swimming towards Tokyo, like leading into anything. It was just, hey, we've got this other monster that had its own movie. Let's have it fight Godzilla. So I don't.
Hmm.
I mean, like technically speaking, it's like a shared universe, but it's like nothing like what the MCU really like coined as a thing.
Yeah.
It's not really the same. Yeah, yeah. This movie was phenomenal because of what it did. I know a lot of people were like, well, from like it was cool as a Marvel, but like is there a critical standpoint? It's like, you know what? Fuck the critical standpoint. Like the critic, the critics have their right to say, like, I mean, we talked about this earlier with Captain Marvel. The critics have the right to say whatever they want about it. They can pick the movie apart for whatever they deem necessary, and if people are going to listen, you know what, listen to them and get more perspective. But from my perspective, seeing this movie as the end of such a lineage of films over 10 years, I don't think it could have been done any better.
Hmm.
I mean, are there a few things that I have problems with? Yeah. Are most of them nitpicks? Also, yes. Is there a few things that do bother me enough that I wouldn't consider the nitpicks? There's a yes to that too. No movie's perfect, and this one sure as hell isn't. I mean, I thought Infinity War was pretty damn good, but this one is even better in terms of how well it ties together so many characters into one film like
Hmm.
this. So yes, of course, better movies have been made, and I'd probably still rank Aliens above, this film in terms of like my favorites of all time. But in pure terms of what it means, what it meant on release, what it means to me, and what it means to so many other people, I I don't think I could have ever seen it any other way.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, don't chime in, just agree with me. Anyway, I think we've said all we could really say. I mean, aside from the fact that people are saying they should have revived Tony with a time stone, but aside from that little gap in logic,
Yeah,
my
that's true.
my excuse for that is using the stones kind of made it so he couldn't use the time stone to reverse it because the stones are what killed him. But I don't know.
Mhm. It might be like the same scenarios like with Nat. It's like you can't bring her back. Like that's it.
Yeah. Well,
Stipulation was they can't come back.
we don't even specifically know how exactly the stones can kill you. It's just like it's a lot of power, but it's never really explained how that power like kills you. Like it's too much,
Mhm.
so it like overloads you. But like then he like uses it, but like it's not like an explosion thing, or he wouldn't exist anymore. And he like Thanos was just burned to hell on his arm.
Mhm.
But it's like I don't know. Maybe it's all about like damage it does to you internally. Yeah, who knows? But anyway, not really important. Tony's dead. It was a good way of ending it. It was totally earned. I'm not glad he's dead, but I'm glad they did it the way they did.
Yeah, I'm
So
glad that he died the way he did.
yeah, it was perfect. It was the perfect death for him.
Hmm.
And I may have cried all 4 times, but you know what? That's only because it was done so well.
I mean that's when you know it's a good movie when you can get when it gets a reaction
When you're
from you
emotional
every
every
single time.
time, yeah, like 4 times within a month, I saw this movie, and 4 times I cried at the end.
Yeah, like with King of the Monsters, I've seen that movie now 3 times, and every single time I've seen it, every time the first time Ghidorah shows up, all 3 times I've gone just ecstatic every time Zarazawa dies, I've gotten sad, and every time, um, like I see Godzilla win, I get excited.
Yeah.
And that movie has elicited those responses from me all those times.
Yeah.
And the same with like what the critics said. Like the critics have said that King of the Monsters is a bad movie, and
Mhm.
I do not at all believe them. I think it is an amazing movie that delivers on what it's meant to deliver.
Mhm.
And it's meant to deliver giant monsters fighting and beating the hell out of each other, and it delivers on that.
And it's it's like a simplistic form of entertainment. It's like, it's
Mm-hmm.
two monsters beating the shit out of each other. It used to be two guys in a suit smacking each other over a model of a city. And,
Yeah.
like, that's just what we enjoy to watch. And, I mean, this is another day, but yeah, the human plot's kind of weak. But the monsters fighting, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah. Like
Uh,
not every movie has to be um
Citizen Kane,
yeah, a Citizen Kane or just a complete masterpiece in the
Gone with the
script
Wind,
and
Die Hard. No, that's not one.
character building or relationships between character. Not every movie has to be perfect on that. Some movies just have to be perfect in what they're trying to deliver.
Mm-hmm.
And King of the Monsters wanted to deliver fun, and it was fun. And Endgame wanted to deliver closure, and it delivered closure.
Mm-hmm. So much so, like I said, I don't want any more movies. I just want it to be done now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I think we need to wrap this up. It's after one. We've gone for wow. We've almost gone as long as the E3 stream, and I was not expecting that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, there's a lot to unpack in this movie, and with a lot of other few tangents we went on. I need to eat something because I haven't had anything to eat since like
I need a snack.
6 o'clock. So, all right. So we shall wrap up the podcast that still has no name for the night. Hopefully, next time we do this, we'll have a name and we'll definitely have a different topic. I've got a couple ideas. Maybe talk about Kingdom Hearts 3 because that would be fun for the three of us to go over.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
Like going over Kingdom Hearts 3 as a whole.
are you sure you want a
As a
7-hour
whole bunch
podcast?
of problem.
Well, we're not gonna go. I didn't say the whole Kingdom Hearts timeline. I meant 3 specifically. If I
Three.
want to do a retrospective, we'll do a retrospective, but we won't focus on everything. But 3, I want to talk about, like not like plot gameplay, but just 3 by itself, not exactly everything that came before it. But anyway, that's another topic for another topic, another time. Thank you, everyone, so much who has joined us tonight for this incredibly long rant that according to who you are may or may not have been sexist about Avengers Endgame.
I hope not.
I hope everyone enjoyed whatever time you spent here. This is fun. I like doing this. I want to do this more often. It's kind of nice just to unwind and talk instead of being stressed out about dying by a horde of zombies doing these streams.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you didn't see the E3 discussion, which actually had a face cam on that one, I will upload it. I'll set to upload it as YouTube after this. But I think for the future with these podcasts, I'll just keep my head webcam. I'll keep my webcam off just because I'm not really reacting as much to stuff. So, But like I said, thank you everyone who joined us. Have a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whatever the heck it is, wherever the heck you are. And take care. Bye, everybody. Have a good night. Morning, evening, whatever. I just ruined my own outro. Bye.